Hello, everyone. Welcome to the 22nd episode of the official Sucrose Stans Podcast. Today, we have a bunch of members. Flip is here again. Thank you, Flip, for
Hello.
coming. We are very happy to have you today.
Thank you. Hi, I am Flip. I make Genshin meta content. Yay. Over to you, Kinkle.
Hello, I am a Genshin content creator and streamer. I do a lot of Abyss runs, count reviews, and a bit of theorycrafting.
Thank you, Kingle, for being here. And lastly, we have Martin.
Hello, I am not a content creator, at least not yet, and I'm a day one player, usually interested in unconventional teams and builds.
You keep saying you're not a content creator yet, so when is it happening?
About that.
What do you mean
About
about that?
that? There might be a bit of a herald or a hurdle for that one. We'll see.
Okay, so on today's topic is Escoffier. I will already say that I did not test Escoffier at all. I only
What?
watched footage, a lot of footage, so I know like how things play out, but I have not touched this character basically. But that's just because I didn't get her. I lost
I
my
see.
50-50, and then I swiped a tiny bit, and
Surely.
then I got her.
Victim to the gacha.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we can
This is where we
just...
plug in our sponsor.
Loot bar.
This video is sponsored by Loot Bar.
That's so funny. I actually
It's not. It'll
actually
get us in copyright issues.
Okay, but yeah, we should get right into it. Okay, I have an interesting question to start. What made Freeze teams good? Like, what was the rise of Freeze? So
In the
what
first
made
place?
Freeze
Like,
so strong?
Yeah. In the beginning or now?
Beginning of Genshin Impact.
It was mainly, well, it was multiple factors. The first being that there were less enemies that were resistant to freeze. Most enemies, even on both sides of the chambers, were freezable. There weren't bosses, and that helped Gonyu a lot. That helped Venti a lot, as you could just CC a bunch of enemies together. Gonyu's burst, quadratic scaling, and then when Ayaka came out, it's also just the fact that you can keep enemies still while benefiting from the force piece blizzard effect, making characters easy to build, and they just gave cryo characters insane scalings because they couldn't use like consistent amplification reactions. That's basically it.
That's very true. Yeah, Ayaka was definitely, in my opinion, the best carry, like when she released. Which I guess wasn't hard because there wasn't a lot of competition, but she definitely...
The bar.
Yeah. The bar was like Hu Tao, I guess, and Child International, but she did just a lot of consistent damage. The grouping, like the situations for her were perfect. She already had Kazuha. I guess Shenhe wasn't out yet, so that was an issue. And you had to play
Also,
Mona.
took for Kokomi to come out.
Yeah.
Oh, Mona. People were
Mona.
coping so hard with Xingqiu.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah,
Xingqiu Ayaka comms.
I never
mean,
liked that.
Kagome came out like a patch later, to be fair.
Yeah.
I guess, yeah. This...
Better Sencho than Barbara.
I've had to
Yeah.
deal with that.
Okay, well then, let's talk about the death of Freeze.
The death of Freeze.
Yeah, when
So
did Freeze
I wasn't
die?
playing during the peak of Freeze because I lost my 50-50 on Ayaka, and I was disappointed with the AR-42 no Ayaka. So I decided to take a break.
You
from the game.
believed it? You
I'm
believed
joking.
that?
I'm joking.
I
I'm
almost,
joking.
to be honest, I actually almost believed it when I first started. And I was like, man, almost. I got to like Air Force. I'm like, man, I don't think this is actually
Oh,
real.
yeah, right.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I took a break from the game, and when I came back, it was like her eternal banner. If you guys remember during COVID.
Yes, I
the start
remember.
of COVID.
Oh, wait. Yeah, also Kinkle, you can't just say I believed until I got to AR-42. That means you
No,
believed
not 42. No, 40. 40 is when I started
Oh.
questioning.
Yeah,
'cause I'm
I
like,
think it was
doesn't
40 actually. It
seem-
wasn't 42.
No, it was 42. It was 42.
It was
42 or
42?
45.
Are
It
we
was
sure?
40.
Yeah, I remember
maybe
being
45 actually.
one of the
But
two.
yeah.
I remember like doubting it after I got to like AR-40. I'm like, there's no way.
Point being is when I came back and I like got hurt during the Eternal Banner, had to explore the Tati of Inazuma. But I'm going on a tangent. I think that from that banner onward, they started countering freeze. So I didn't even get to enjoy it much. So I like for me personally, at least, there was a lot of issues with freeze because they started introducing enemies like the Samurai Brothers.
Oh,
I forgot what
yeah.
they're called. That you
Nobushi.
couldn't really group as much. They were like on the heavier side of things. They started introducing
Are you fat
I
shaming?
think I am bows shaming, yes. If you have high bows to break, yes, I'm shaming you.
Okay.
So they also started introducing, I think around that time, bosses, like more consistently. They could just obviously do the funny and make it so the enemies are made out of cryo, because back then, you know, slimes were still a thing in floor 12.
Yeah.
And the thing about Ayaka is a lot of her damage is concentrated in her burst. So if you don't get to utilize that as much as you were supposed to, she's not bad, but she doesn't end up being better than the other teams around that time, right? Like you said, Saga, like Hu Tao, for example, right? Or maybe even you could argue Child International.
Yes.
Um,
Right in national at the time.
So
Oh,
I
yes,
think
right.
like
Yes. Rational's
her
good.
her issues were very apparent from the get-go, right? Like how they would counter her. It was just simple as don't allow you to group enemies, and there you go. The team suffers from that. And then more and more, we just started getting other like supports for other characters, but we never really got one for Ayaka. All the way you could argue till, like you said, Shanhe, but after Shanhe we didn't really have much till like Farina, you could argue. And then Farina wasn't as good because, well, you didn't really have the perfect healer. Charlotte is just a unit of all time, put it shortly. And
She holds TTDS.
Genuine TDDS, while cool and funny, or like with Jean, it's not the best experience because you don't have any grouping. So it always felt weird, and sometimes if you wanted the grouping, you might have to sacrifice the Shanhe, and that's probably not something you want, especially if you invested into her C1 or weapon. And that in tandem with Ayaka also needing a decent amount of energy, it could function, but it took so much effort and so much coordination that only like people who were truly dedicated to the character managed to, you know, get consistent good results with her. Like it required really good piloting from people.
I think it started the meme of Aika needing Mist with Fairish Shenhe and Kokomi to function, which was hilarious.
Yeah.
I think she
I
was
won't-
the first character to get like meme treatment with Cost.
Yeah. I would say like I started playing Ayaka right during the same as Martin, right during the that big hiatus banner on my free to play account, and I started playing Abyss with her like mid, I think, like early 3.x. I didn't have that many issues with her. That's mainly the way I did it. I just built her for killing bosses from the get-go rather than worrying about freeze, because by that time we had Abysses that were 90% bosses anyway.
Yeah.
And it kind of like how Martin said, if you pilot Ayaka well, I didn't run into many issues playing Ayaka. Although I was lucky enough to get a premium team as I was building her up, so by the time I got to doing Abyss, I didn't have to. I was like just stuck with Venti for a while until I got Kazu, because I lost my 50-50 the first time I went for him. That like I already had Shinna, I already had Kokomi. I do the times that I had to use do early game Abysses like for 1 through 8 that I had to use Ayaka without Kokomi or without Shinna, it just felt absolutely horrible. But with a premium team, she didn't feel that bad. It wasn't. I would say it wasn't until we started getting HP to go up a bit in the starter Fontaine, where I stopped using her as much, and I started favoring cards like Arlecchino more, because her damage with her alone just did not feel enough.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm also someone who mained both Aika and Gonya at the time. I also mained Eula. I was heavy into that. I was all the way into the cryo pothole. And for me, it's like I was just using Ganyu Melt one side, Ayaka Freeze the other side, and it only really started falling off, as Kinko said, around like the beginning, middle bits of Sumeru, and that's honestly when I quit the game. The first time I took like a long break from the game because I just hated the Dendro meta completely.
Yeah.
And then coming back into Fontaine, it's like, oh, Farina's here. I'd rather just like play Raiden double Hydra teams. I'd rather go back to using my Hutal and stuff and all the new experiments we got in Fontaine. So yeah, for me, Aika and Ganyu, at least just Cryo in general, just didn't age that well going into Sumeru and Fontaine cycles.
Yeah.
Like the best Cry has gotten has been more recently, I guess, with Shilonen first, because that gave you easier Melt Ganyu teams, and then the Ayaka mains were using Ayaka, Shenhe, Shilonen, Farina. Which sure.
Rest in peace
But yeah,
to
and now...
the... Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
Rest in peace to the people that pulled to Agilonan for Ayaka.
Oh no, just for a Escoffier to just not work. So cruel. Yeah. But yeah, that's my history with Cryo. Messy breakup.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Not
But
the
at least with the
messy
Escoffier
breakup.
now, like all my Cry units are back to being relevant,
sure.
except you.
Except Eula. You and I mean Chong Yun Eula, surely.
One day they are going
Are
to
we
win.
arguing that Chi-Chi is in a better position than Eula? Is that what you're arguing there, King?
I mean, yeah, there's that one Corrin's Chi-Chi team that's pretty fire.
Oh yeah.
Fire? Right. it's
Fire in heavy quotation marks. Well, Saga, do you want to talk about Cry stuff, or do you want to move
I'm
on to talk about Escoffier
concentrating.
now?
I'm sorry. You can continue. The rise of Freeze. I think we are at Escoffier
Yes.
already.
Yeah.
The resurrection of Freeze.
Yeah, a revival. Tip.
Yeah.
Talk.
Oh, me?
Yeah.
He's putting you on the
Oh,
spot.
well, okay. Well, do I talk about her beta cycle? Question mark.
I mean,
We're
did
in the
anything
future
change?
now, old man.
Okay. Yeah, guys, Escoffier. Did you guys know that if you give a character 400k DPR, healing to synergize with Farina, and also give them a 55% cryo res shred, then the element becomes good again? What? That's
I will
essentially
say-
Escoffier.
I will actually say a point here that I've noticed while using Aika with Escoffier versus using her other teams. What felt was lacking is that one of Aika's bigger issues that I had using her for so long was that after you use her burst, you kind of just unga bunga on charge attacks
And
for
2C,
like half,
and 2C.
like yeah, and 2C for like 3 or 4 times, and like you're doing, especially without a Mistwitter, because I've been using Finale of the Deep and Omnoma for ages. I don't have a Mistwitter. I tried lots of it.
You don't, wait, what?
Yeah,
You're
dude,
not- You're a whale!
No. No, okay, this is on my free-to-play account, not my whale account. I mean, even on my main account, I don't have a Mistwitter because I lost
What?
the Ito's weapon. I lost the what did I lose to? Unforged. Yeah. Anyway, I might try to get it on Chronicled Meta. We'll see. But the issue I always ran into is the fact that after you burst, you just N2C and you're throwing like pepper damage. But now with Escoffier, you have her doing all-field damage all the time, and that makes up the difference. So it feels like you always have some kind of damage going, which makes the rotation feel so much smoother. Even like
True.
Danya too, having a sub DPS damage in both Farina and Escoffier just helps so much compared to her melt teams. But you have Jingling doing fuck all. But
Did you guys ever invest into Goni melt? Like, sorry, Ayaka melt teams? Tangent? Sorry.
no.
Oh, no.
I have
never-
played
I
a bit
never
of
tried.
Ayaka Melt. I tried to like cope with it because
Freeze was so
I didn't
bad.
like the freeze. Right, like I was young and dumb, and I farmed a lot of Blizzard Strayer. Biggest mistake of my life, and I still have like bottom 10 Ayaka.
Oh.
When I did try her melt teams, like Kinkle said, it felt more like Jingling who's doing things than it is Ayaka. like you,
Well, yeah.
Ayaka was still doing damage, but like gradually you just see some Chengling doing like 100k, and you're like, huh. I see. that is definitely an Ayaka team.
I was gonna say the only melt Ayaka team I tried was Yoimiya Ayaka melt, which was actually pretty good before Sidali existed. Ayaka works well as a cryosing Cho for like the 6 seconds that the burst lasts. You get like get two N5 strings off on your Mia of just straight melt, which it felt pretty good. That's like
Yeah,
the
you
only
just
time.
reminded me that like Ayaka's best use case for speedrunning was literally just being a support for Hutao or Arlecchino.
Yeah, I remember that. I actually almost would Ayaka for my Hutao on my main account when she came out because I heard about that. I didn't end up doing that. I tried for Yomi and lost, but that's the other thing.
But yeah, go ahead, Saka.
My Janssen wasn't on score, and my Mavuika wasn't
Oh my god.
and my Mavuika
It's
was on
okay.
default.
It's
Sorry,
floor
man.
11. No one is judging floor 11 teams.
I'm judging you.
Didn't he just
11?
do 412? Bro just did 412.
Oh wait, was that 12?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was 12.
Dude, I heard so much about this abyss and how difficult it is.
It's not. What?
Man is not.
This is one of the easiest abysses we've had.
Like it's second side's a little restrictive. Sure, you need either like burning or overload or some kind of just a bunch of pyro or something.
Wait.
for-
Yeah.
Does second half like rehydrate the boss if you use like cryo or something?
Yeah.
Yes, it does.
Yeah. So it gets
you
back
can
to.
still- if you I did try this. If you do like Movika melt, like Movika with Lolly, and you just use Movika for the first bit of it and break the shield, then you can just nuke it on when its shield is broken because you can still use cryo and hydro there. Just like when the shield's up, if you use cryo hydro at all, its shield starts to gain health back, basically.
This shit is so
So-
ass.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But are
it's
we
pretty
still
simple.
talking about Escoffier?
Yes.
Yeah,
Should
for
I give my piece?
you can repeat
Like, Escoffier, like you already addressed, Flip, does
you just forget
so
my name.
much
that.
with
Yeah.
no, I was thinking about your real name. Did so much for like like just the character does good damage from off field, arguably, debatably as good as the other characters who only do damage off field and do not provide any form of buffing whatsoever.
She definitely does more damage than Shiori.
He does more than those.
Uh,
He does more than those,
he
but on our best team,
front
anyway.
loads funfair and proceeds to keep your character that's on field healthy. She has extremely good vertical investment, like early vertical investment.
True.
She doesn't require all that much from artifacts. She has a really efficient artifact domain. She has pretty good stats to balance out her offense and defense, and the fact that her offense also ends up being the stats for her defense allows her to quote-unquote double dip. And on top of all of that, she's arguably one of the strongest buffers we have in the game. Like, she's up there with the strongest buffers we have in the game.
I don't know if I call her one of the strongest buffers. She just has the rest shred.
Yeah, I mean, like she does.
The rest shred,
pretty sure she
the
buffs less
healing to
than-
enable Farina, and if
Oh,
you
that-
take
I
signature
guess.
into account, that's a lot of attack you're getting.
Sure.
So like, all of these things together just creates a unit where it kind of feels, and this is like something I'm more like open to debate about, where you either have a Escoffier or don't bother with cryo.
I
As an
kind of
element.
disagree. With that.
I kind of disagree with that. I think Risley is very fine without cryo.
Looks like Ganya
Yeah.
too. Her melt teams with Movika feel pretty nice.
I think
But
Mm.
like,
I do, in in a way, I kind of agree though. I made this point on stream one time where, someone was asking me, I can't get Escoffier yet, but I want to get Ayaka. Should I get her? And I was like, having been playing Ayaka for so long without Escoffier and playing her with it, how seeing the massive difference it is. Like I went from 2 rotating a boss to just less than 1 rotation on a boss. Still free to play team and all. And I'm like, it's to the point where certain characters, like Skirk and Ayaka specifically, who rely a lot on her, if you don't have Escoffier, they do feel significantly worse.
yeah.
like I think
know
what
I
I
might
meant
misspoke
there,
there,
like
but-
I might have misspoke. I meant specifically like freeze, because I do
Yeah.
agree, right?
Oh, sure.
Gun you can play without her, like Risley can play without her, but like if you happen to want freeze in any capacity, the difference between owning the character and not owning the character, I think the biggest we've seen so far, outside of
I
maybe you
would
can
agree
argue
with that, yeah.
Chevreuse. You know,
Chevrolet, that's the thing. Chevrolet has options though. You can still get somewhat similar buffs, not quite the same, but similar buffs with someone like Kazuha. And also he also has off-field damage, unlike Chevrolet. So
it's more like I meant what Chevreuse offers for Overload. If we were to focus on the quote unquote reaction being the archetype.
Okay.
but yeah,
Off topic, but I'm an idiot. I literally just queued up a Gonyu freeze team without Escoffier. I put Sid, Lolly, and Shenhe together.
no,
I just completely
you said you
forgot.
disagree. Play it. You have to play it now. You said you disagree.
No.
You're playing Ganyu. You said Ganyu doesn't need a Escoffier.
But you know what I meant. Because I was just wondering, like, oh wait, why am I not healing?
Oh no.
Yeah, it's weird.
Wait,
But,
why is my HP at 50%? But yeah.
But yeah, to get back to the point, like, Escoffier just creates this kind of dominance, if that's the correct word I'm looking for,
It's
or like, just kind of what's the word?
Over-reliance?
She like has the 100% of the share for freeze. It feels like, where she's not really allowing anyone else to like kind of compete without her, and the issue with like characters like that can be healthy if we didn't like have, let's say, previous options, like how Cheverus does it with Overload, right? Like you could play Overload, you can play kind of like Overvape with like Yumiya and some other characters, right? And that's cool and all. But for the most part, you didn't really specifically go for Overload as a reaction. It's mostly something that, you know, Cheverus kind of enabled. Freeze, however, did exist without Escoffier. But so
Yeah.
Escoffier coming in and just deciding, okay, like, I'm gonna revive Freeze, but, well, the condition is you gotta have my kit. Like, it didn't get Freeze itself didn't get any buffs, right? All the buffs rely on one unit. It kind of desensitizes people from like bowling for cryo units, like Ayaka, for example, right? Or any future cryo units that might want to freeze specifically. Because if you happen to not have Escoffier, well, your performance is gonna see a big hit. So that's like the thing that worries me about her specifically. I think she's a great addition to the game when it comes to like Ayaka, for example, who, like, you could argue desperately needed a refresh to keep up with the new quote-unquote trend of power creep, if you can even call it power creep. But the way they did it, I would have liked for her to be not more restrictive, but more fine-tuned for like weaker character, rather than having so much of her budget be her own strength. I'm pretty sure you both agreed that like a lot of the time when you were playing Ayaka, didn't feel like you needed the burst. You could just get by with the charge attacks, especially if you have Shenhe.
Experiencing it right now.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
no,
right?
it really does feel like that.
Another thing I find weird is that they could have just made Escoffier a 4-star. I find it weird how both Shenhe and Escoffier are like the premium freeze
that feels
units,
yeah,
yet they're 5 stars, whereas with
Yeah, we don't
like
have a 4-star support.
4-star end. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's weird.
it's a
And-
very expensive team, but I think that's something that everyone realized, because I'd argue back then, even like before Escoffier, that was the case, right? You
Oh,
either had
that- yeah.
Shenhe or you didn't. So
Yeah.
it was already like kind of a thing that I guess Hoyo decided for Freeze in general. And also, like you mentioned, Flip, it was kind of like have Missplit or don't. I think you mentioned that.
Yes, I did.
So it was already the case even without, like, you could argue it was already kind of the case even without like the dedicated supports. But the point I guess I'm trying to make is I wish she was more focused on buffing and less focused on damage. I think that would have made it so other units that are cryo wouldn't have to consider her as much if they had other better options. But right now, as it stands, it feels like if you're a cryo unit, even if you're a cryo unit like Ganyu or like Risley, having Escoffier in your team isn't going to be a bad thing. It's not going to make your team go from clearing to, oh, I can't clear anymore. You get what I mean? So,
Yeah.
like, even in the places where technically she's not optimal, she's still extremely strong due to the fact that she just does a lot of damage off-field. But for now, right, putting aside like future problems, she's a great unit. I could not recommend her more for people who are interested in cryo units in general. I could not recommend her more for even just a generic Kirin. May we have a moment of silence for Sejuin?
Oh no.
You listed about.
Was she ever that good, to be honest?
No.
I mean, at least you could recommend her to people who didn't have a good healer for Farina. You know, that was something. you
Now
could
it's just
recommend.
over.
But Benedict.
No, it's just why,
Always
right?
existed.
Like, she's a unit that exists. I guess if you have C6, you get to do like one Nuvolette charge attack. That's cool. But yeah,
I will say this.
She doesn't even give enough for a full Nuvolette charge attack.
I said kinda. You see, emphasis on the kinda.
Yeah, I will say this though. I feel like the issue with Escoffier isn't that she's too. I mean, she does a lot, but the thing is, outside of specifically freeze team, she's not really that great. I mean, she's still decent, but she doesn't become as dominant as she's in freeze teams.
Yeah.
I think what the issue is, and it's always been the issue with freeze, because like we mentioned, both Shen and Escoffier, we don't have good 4-star units that work.
Yeah,
with
I
freeze.
agree.
And that's the biggest. We don't have good 4-star hydros and 5-star.
Why does Dahlia
No, they're
exist?
introducing,
Dahlia is freaking so
they're
dog,
introducing
man.
a 4-star Hydro next patch. Surely they will fix the issue.
Okay,
dude.
on
Don't
that-
you worry.
On
The
that
skill
note,
enabling one plunge.
on that
Dude.
note, I want to say that I think if the leaks are true, like that, like a 5-star Hydro is coming that's also synergizing with Skirk.
Oh
That's
god.
I doubt
why
that.
another one?
I no, I think I doubt it. Also, if it's a Hydra character, that would be horrible because Skirk already generates like fucking 4
Yeah, her
particles. That's
particle
not enough for
genders.
Escoffier. It would have to be a Cry unit if they want to be really good with Skirk.
Don't worry.
and
Jason
there's-
once told me that I can run Fav on all my units and run
Yeah.
280 ER.
I just want to say this
Also,
real
there's
quick.
Nishoi isn't Durin, like the last character in this patch. There's Nishoi. They're just introducing a random 5-star
I
early and it's
don't
not Durin.
understand that. Maybe I should do the quest. I haven't done the monster quest yet. I've been like holding
Yeah,
off.
no spoilers, boys.
Everyone,
Oh, my bad. my
everyone
bad.
has. Yeah, I mean it's all good. Everyone in my chat has always been like, "Yeah, Durin's coming." I was like, "What the? He's a fucking dragon. How is he gonna be playable?" But I'm just sitting there so confused. They're like,
Hey
"Just do
man,
the quest, do the quest,
Novalet was a
people."
dragon. That didn't stop him from being playable, alright?
But he's like a dragon sovereign type thing. I don't know, man. Anyway,
Yeah.
I was gonna say this saga, your Kanich run and the exact same way mine did, where my Kanich died and I had to clear with Emily
Oh no.
because you don't have a healer, and you just keep. I mean, Jan's the healer, sure, but she barely heals.
Sure,
And so-
no,
Not a
don't
Sucrose
say that.
Stans podcast without
You end
glazing
up just
Emily at
taking
least
so much
twice.
damage, and then burning damage, and then you just end up dying. I'm like, dang, that's funny.
Emily's the fucking goat.
He is the goat though.
Sure he is.
She's
the
crazy showing us
underdog,
this
the
stuff.
underdog of
Uh,
burning.
We do have rumors that she's running next batch, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
You know what's funny
I
about that?
think-
I was gonna comment on Flip's video. Every leak channel keeps saying that it's the old leaks where it's like Sitlali Yalan instead.
That, do you know
No,
that
no.
the funny thing? That was just fake. Like the person who said
yeah.
it said that I just made it up.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the funny thing.
What's the
And people
source?
are
I
so
made
true.
it the frick up.
Literally, they were just like, "Yeah, I made it up." It
The
was
funny thing
hilarious.
was, I was saying to my stream one time, they would have made more money with that banner if they went with that.
Yeah.
And the current
well,
ones, they would have way more money.
Yeah.
But because
I
Sitlali, my
think
people
though,
thought
like,
Sitlali.
She kind
Gotta
of
get more
deserves a rerun because it's been a while. More than
Oh,
you could argue the other banners. Like, yeah, sure, the other banners
Emily
might have been
is
more
at her first
profitable,
now.
but they still kind of have to do with it. I do think also, like, if we're allowed to, we're getting like sidetracked here, but like one more thing is the fact that Shunha apparently is rerunning,
Yeah.
which kind of breaks the assumption that people had, including me, that if a character goes to the retirement banner, that's it, they're not rerunning again.
I love
But they made an
that.
exception for her. But is it actually an exception? Because technically she was the exception to the 3 reruns.
Oh.
So it could just
Wow.
because she was, that's,
Oh.
you know, like the rule still stays in place. Unless I guess you're Shiori. Because also Shiori went to the retirement banner even though she didn't have that many reruns yet. So it's
Dude,
weird. It's kind of like all over the place.
Shenha's literally here just because they realized, oh wait, Skirk and Shenha's kind of good. Let's do them together. That's the only reason
Yeah.
why she's there.
Yeah.
But I'm worried because Saga was talking about a Hydro character that being very synergistic with Skirk. I don't even know anything about it, but if that character is actually Hydro, that would give both of the
Hydros.
characters Hydro resonance. If she happens to also benefit from HP, wouldn't that kick Shunhei off the team?
I
Yeah.
actually
Yes, it would.
It would, yeah, it would.
regarding resonances. Okay, I would not say just straight up say Shenna is getting kicked out. Vertical Shenna is getting kicked out because Shenna's vertical
It's
fell
horrible.
off hard.
It's so
Dude,
bad.
Shenha's C2 is 15% cryo crit
Yeah,
damage.
so
Escoffier gives that at C1 times 4. It's insane.
Yeah,
but-
I think that's the one thing that everyone agrees on, or like I think everyone agrees on, like all content creators or everyone, that when it comes to constellations, there's definitely power creep. Like I don't
Oh,
think
no,
anyone
yeah,
argues
For
that's
that.
sure. The power creep is insane on consoles in that one.
On constellations.
But regarding
Yeah.
the resonances, if she has off-field hydro application, you are like losing the cryo.
Cryo resonance.
Oh yeah,
Cryo
you are losing
resonance.
cryo, yeah.
You
Yeah.
you might, right? I don't know what the character does, but at least she'll be like a good option, I guess. And the reason I'm like a bit anxious here is because I'd like to think that they're running Shunha because that character will kick her out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They usually
Yes.
tend to do that,
Fate.
where like, oh, a new ceiling for Byro DBS is coming out, but Arlecchino on. A new like ceiling for Electro DBS
Oren,
is
then
coming out,
Versa, yeah.
but Color London, like they usually
Wait.
run the character right before they increase the ceiling.
Yeah.
So I hope that is not the case for Shanhe, because like we finally have a completely synergetic team for Shanhe, where like her buffs are being fully utilized.
Yeah.
But again,
Okay,
that's
but
just
even if Shenhe gets kicked out, she's still strong as fuck in the team.
Yeah.
So I don't
yeah.
think it's gonna matter that much.
Yeah.
It's more
She
of
buffs
like
a
it
lot.
would be sad if like Beeble bore for Shanhe and then
yeah,
it turns
yeah,
out
okay,
that
yeah,
other characters like exactly like 5 or 10% just to piss you off better than her.
Also, like, Hoyoverse has to fucking hate Arlecchino, right? Because the difference between Veresa and Chlorinde, especially finding out that Chlorinde can trigger Veresa's Yonson C6, the difference between Veresa and Chlorinde really isn't that high. And then there's like a 35% difference between Malvika and Arlecchino.
Oh no.
Yeah.
To be fair,
Like,
there's a
Yeah.
that has to just be hatred.
there is a like 30% difference between Mavrika and the next best cheating character. So I think it's a Mavrika issue.
Maybe.
Everyone wanted the Byro Archon to be the strongest DPS in the game. I hope you're happy.
Everyone, I wanted them to be Zhangling.
Yeah.
That's why I wanted. I
Wait,
think everyone
Zhangling-
wanted to
Hey,
be
man,
Zhangling.
you
I think
can-
that's
Wait,
what everyone wanted.
Shangling
Then.
is the strongest pirate DPS.
You
What do you
can
mean?
definitely make them Jangling. You just need 7 copies of Mavuika. Then they become a really strong Jangling.
To be honest, I talked about this in my Discord. I was talking with someone else. I haven't actually used Zhangling genuinely in a team since 5.3 on my main account. To be fair, she kind of did replace Zhangling.
Okay, I will tell you though, you should test it out with Veresa, because if you haven't heard people yap about it, Veresa going into the enemy's hitbox allow Byronido to hit more times
That's
than
Oh,
not.
yeah,
Yeah.
really.
So it
I have not
closes
heard
the
about- I have
gap
not heard
with,
about
like,
that.
between her and Mavuika.
I
But
would
yeah,
try, I don't think it's playing with my way because I'm C2, but I'll try it anyways. Yeah, I haven't tried it.
what do we think, if I can ask a question related to Escoffier here,
Well,
You
It's
can ask a
about
question.
I mean, we're talking about it,
her
but
signature weapon?
oh, what about her signature weapon?
Is that a good addition to the game? Is that a bad addition to the game? Is it
Um,
more like
Fine.
more suitable of a support weapon
It's
than
fine.
other?
I thought
It's
it was.
Huh?
Yeah, go on.
I was gonna say it's a nice universal weapon. Funny thing actually about it, I was testing on the Yansan for my account anyway, probably because my Mavuika is stronger with Yansan on Sig weapon or on Escoffier's weapon than Bennett on something like Freedom Sword.
I saw that YouTube
So now my
short.
best Bennett team is now Mavuika, Jelona, and Eon Sansalali, which also happens to be a 4 Mountland character team. Which I'm
Yeah.
just like Mountland racism at its
It's
finest.
because
Together we are not
Eonson's
Lana.
the GOAT.
Together we are not Lana.
Yeah, it was like a good almost I think 8% stronger than Bennett. Like I was like, whoa, that's
Oh,
kind of crazy.
wow.
Yeah, it was substantial.
But regarding
This
the
is nothing. Eonson's the GOAT. That's it.
regarding the signature weapon, I'm a bit confused because I thought it was team-wide at first, but since
No, it's
like
not.
Escoffier only is a party-wide heal at the start, that means you don't. But the thing is, what if they release a character that consistently team-wide heals like Xianyun? Then the weapon would like have
It
a
would be
better,
busted as
better
Yeah.
I
supportive
don't
effect.
necessarily think so because not every character in your team does damage a lot of the
That's
time.
true. That's true.
Also,
But-
nowadays we're doing a lot more like attacks or HP scalers, so not every character might scale on attack as well. That's another thing.
Other thing as well about like the spear in general is you can technically, by the way, make it like work on multiple characters. For example, in Ayaka Shanhei team, you can switch to Shanhei again to get another healing tick from
Yeah, that's
Escoffier, and if you line it correctly, you do keep the buff pretty high on Shanhei as well. So both Shanhei and Ayaka end up getting buffed by it. Just a
Do
tip for
Shenhe
any
quills snapshot? Question mark.
I think they
Uh,
do.
Yeah,
Do
they
they
should.
don't.
They
They
don't.
do. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they do. You don't think they do?
Otherwise,
I'm
Shenhe's
not sure.
signature would be not that great because Shenhe's signature relies on.
Oh, it's current attack. It's current.
Oh,
yeah,
that- Yeah, that's actually true. Yeah, you're right.
yeah. Okay, fair enough.
Okay, but like
It-
that's
It's more to upkeep the buff, right? Because like if you get another tick of healing before the previous tick gets removed, you end up, like getting the second tier. So your next E is gonna be stronger, supposedly.
Yeah.
I don't have
Uh,
Shanhei
but-
to test it myself, but I've like heard from people who have heard that it is possible.
I haven't tried it.
okay, but again, Please, the gameplay video is very choppy.
Oh
Fix
yeah,
it or
your
play
gameplay
something.
it's like dying. Ever since
What
you
am
got
I
out of Abyss,
supposed
it
to
just started
do?
dying.
I sent you a message on
Go back into
Discord
Abyss.
in hope
I
you'll
guess
check.
I don't know. It was fine in Abyss. Maybe
Yeah.
you can't handle being an open world. I don't know.
No. Okay,
You can try
anyway.
lowering the graphics a bit, I guess. Just take
That could work, or
Okay,
maybe
I
you
will
could
make
lower
it
the bitrate on
crispy.
OBS as well. That might help as well. But
I will make it very crispy.
But yeah, okay. So general consensus about the weapons is that like it's not as good because it doesn't do it for the whole team. Or
here's the thing about it though. It's not just a support weapon. It also is it gives 66 for damage and some attack, especially for all fields. Gives 24% attack because they're all field. So Emily, Jingling, of course Jingling. I think there's another person. Oh, Rosaria, if you still use her in 2025. So like it's a pretty universal weapon. It's a decent stat stick. A lot of characters.
Wait. Was that Rosaria slander? As if she's not going to be the best 4-star for Skirk?
Dude, we established that the options are not good.
Yeah, wait, no. But Skirk, Escoffier, Rosaria, Farina, that's her best team with the 4-star.
I
So are we
guarantee you
really
by
gonna
like
sit here and slaughter the
6.5,
girl?
we'll have like 2 4-stars. You can quote me on this. We'll have like 2 4-stars, like a Hydro and a Cryo. That's gonna be better than the current that we have. That makes Skirk's free-to-play teams actually decent. Trust.
Yeah, but remember, it took
Trust.
them 5 years and they released Dahlia, so I'm not sure about that.
Listen. I don't fucking know what Hoya was
Right.
thinking with Dahlia, dude.
let's leave Dahlia did on arrival for a different stream.
Uh,
But
Oh, I
so
yes,
wanted
would
to
you
add
guys
one more.
prefer like seeing more of that type of weapon, or you think it's better to keep these weapons more restricted to like niche teams or
no,
find
I
let's,
would.
teams?
let's not keep
That-
weapons restricted. Can we stop doing that?
Yeah, that I would say we have too much of that. I hate I got Navi's weapon on my free play account trying to get a Escoffier's weapon, and I hate myself because like
Yeah.
no
Have you
one can
guys
use
seen
it.
Emily's weapon?
Yeah, we have way too many restrictive weapons. We had a lot more
Yeah.
less restrictive ones when the game started. So I would say it would be nice to get more or less restrictive ones that can be used on other characters. Like you're sometimes getting weapons like LG, like Key. Well, Key is actually pretty restrictive, but Freedom Sworn. The weapons like those support weapons that are or even DPS ones that are less.
Oh, even
restrictive.
Peak Patrol song is not that restrictive.
Oh yeah. People think it is, which is the funny part, but it's not.
It's not.
You just gotta build defenses. All. I've done Peak Patrol Farina a whole lot.
Can
Okay, so
Can we go
Yeah.
back again a bit? Because I
What,
wanted
which
to
one?
add something.
Oh,
Go
go.
ahead.
Regarding Shenhe's second skill. I'm very concerned about how the thing is Shenhe's second skill. Shenhe's second skill is one of the reasons I think Ayaka like it's one of Ayaka's strengths that Shenhe can use
Yeah.
the second skill. And
Mm-hmm.
the fact that Skirk can't use that, and like the technique with the signature of Escoffier that we talked about, like Shenhe buffing her own attack and stuff. And I'm a bit concerned. I don't know. Do you think they could maybe like we can work around a 2 Shenhe skill rotation with 1 whole skill, 1 normal skill? Because like I heard someone say
For-
that.
Yeah,
For
Vumpy's
Ayaka
been
or
looking
Skirk?
into doing it for Skirk.
Oh, for sure. I don't know if rotations that well. so I
Vumpy's
can't
been
know.
looking into doing it, but it's like a 30-second long rotation.
yeah, I was about to say
Oh.
I've seen some stuff, but it's I can't really talk about them too much because they're still cooking. About longer rotations, like Flip said, it might be possible, but it's
And even
you're
then,
gonna
it's
want
like
your
not
Shanghai
even
to be
better.
really good, right? You're gonna want a
Yeah.
very high investment Shanghai in terms of artifacts at least, right? In order for it to be worth it to begin with.
And also, like, it increases rotation time, so even if the DPR is much higher, the DPS still stays like the same. So it doesn't even
Yeah,
end up
that
being
too.
like that
It will
much
go
better.
down to breakpoints pretty much.
But
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also, to be fair, it can be helpful, I suppose, in multi-wave, because like maybe
Yeah.
in multi-wave
And-
you prefer doing the second Shanhei, even if it like breaks your rotation.
And regarding like energy, I thought about like
Yeah.
second
Yeah.
skill is a lot of energy. With
Yeah,
fab too.
second
It would
skill.
definitely
Yeah,
lower
with Fab,
it.
it's big. Second skill chain is big for energy.
Also, why is her baseline uptime like so long? I was surprised.
Oh, it's like 12 seconds.
Yeah, but that's
Yeah.
long, right? With burst
Yeah, it is.
animations.
It is
It's like a
definitely on the
rotation
lower
like
side.
22 seconds long.
Oh no.
I've seen a lot of people compare her to Child, which
That maybe intentional.
Yeah, it probably
no,
could be
but like
intentional,
not in like attack form. Like I'm talking like field time,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And like kind of play style. And I don't know how true
Wait,
that
two
is.
masters. Wait, two masters dependent on a chef for their optimal damage. Hold on.
Yeah,
Intentional question mark?
where have I
Wow.
seen this before?
Hmm.
But what about since we're talking, I guess, a little bit about Skirk? What about non-Escoffier Skirk teams? How do they look like?
I think Flip
Is
made a Flip
Yeah, he
said
made a whole
that they
video
are
on that.
not as
yeah,
bad
I've
as
checked the
we
calcs
thought.
you've made, but I'm talking like maybe someone else has like different calcs or different opinion, or are we
Oh,
agreeing that like
I haven't calculated myself, but from the calcs I have looked at, it's been like a drop off of like 30 to 40%, which is
Yeah.
still pretty big.
There
It's
is
big.
nothing currently better than Yelan Shen Hasset Lali. That's like your best bet.
and
And
how
it's
yeah,
like
much
it's,
18
lower
uh,
is that?
It's like 25 to 30k worse than her best
Because I
teams.
remember in one of your calcs you had it at like 91, I think, without
Oh,
Escoffier,
that,
but maybe that was
that,
with
that was
like
with signature. That was with signature.
yeah, right. So
Yeah.
if we're not like doing what labeled it as bad faith, it's a pretty big difference.
Yeah.
Flip, can I
So
join you?
would
Oh,
we
sure, go ahead.
recommend to bull Skirk if you don't own Escoffier? Do you guys think that that's a good build in comparison to other DBSs that we have currently?
Wait, say
No.
that again?
I've been saying no. I
So
unless
just to
they.
repeat
Huh?
what
I
I
didn't
said,
hear.
the question is flip. Would we recommend Skirk for people who do not own Escoffier or can't get her
No.
in comparison to
I-
current DPSs, like
No.
the most recent
Yeah.
DPSs?
I'm
I think-
saying no.
Okay,
No, I agree.
To be fair, I
Yeah.
would also not recommend Nick without Emily. Is that
Yeah.
That. I mean,
I don't
there
think
are
it's as
options,
bad
though.
as Skirk.
Yeah,
it's
there are
not as
options
bad,
though.
but I would.
Because
Oh,
Eons on the go exists.
We have
It's
Yeah,
more
yeah,
like
it's on.
if you have Kinich, I highly recommend Emily, right? Like if you're a
Yeah,
Kinich main
yeah.
and you really enjoy Kinich, I highly recommend Emily. And as much as I hate saying this, I also highly recommend her signature weapon. It's a lot of builds that you're gonna have to go through, but it will be worth it definitely, because
biggest
Emily
percent in.
arguably does a lot of damage in that team, to say the least.
Saga.
Why?
What was that? Wait, where did you, first of all, where did you go? Second of all, what weapon is your Aika holding? Did I
Oh
see
yeah,
that
I did
correctly?
see that. Yes, I was gonna question that, but I didn't get the chance
You
to.
only
Bro's
know
actually
that now,
putting
guys?
absolution on Hayaka.
Saga?
Surely.
Saga? Question mark?
What
What's
am I?
going on
actually.
here?
What am I supposed? What else am I supposed to use?
What refinement is it though?
It's
One?
R1?
Okay.
You
Thinking
sound
maybe
deep
if it's
like
higher
Ian's
refinements,
stuff.
maybe.
It's my best weapon. I literally calced it.
Yeah. Speaking of
Yeah.
best weapon, this is a bit of a side tangent, but have you guys seen how cool Skirk looks with Finale of the Deep in terms of drip?
True.
Yeah.
Also, it's so funny.
Speaking
It's,
of-
Fits her so well.
it's called
speaking of best
Finale of the Deep, and her best set is also Finale of the Deep.
Finale of the Deep. Well, it's
I
actually
mean,
not her
okay,
best
Finale
okay,
of the Deep
hold on the
gallery.
Finale of the
It's-
Deep is
Oh
her
it's
best
actually
my
not
set.
her
god.
best
I meant
set.
her,
Hold
Yeah,
on.
her signature set, not her best.
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah.
Look what I'm holding in my hands. Do you see
Fuck
this?
off.
You see this?
Because like I'm gonna share something real quick for you guys in the Discord. As you can see, this is I feel like someone someone miscalculated something there, because
Is it gonna? I think that. Where did you?
like I sent it in the group. So
Oh.
the thing about her set, since we're talking again about freeze, and I assume this is like a free stock, her set, at least according to somewhat reliable TC,
And TGS is
is
correct.
not.
I've also calced it. Marisha says better.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I've
Most
seen as
theory
well.
crafters so far are saying it's better. I don't think the developers are planning to buff a set, so
They're
they could
not. And
technically
also
buff
with C1,
her.
it makes her see her set
Also,
even.
yeah, if we're sharing this, then credits to the Genshin scientist. He's the one that made these calcs.
I guess the
He's
thing you can
also a
cope
good
with is
content
that.
creator.
Oh, sorry. I was gonna say, I
Yeah,
guess
no.
something you can cope with is the fact that, well, if you're not using Farina, then Finale of the Deep Galleries is better.
I mean,
If you want to
yeah.
do it.
So I saw a
Yeah.
lot of debate about like Blizzard Strayer and like Finale of the Deep. Thing is, that's kind of ignoring how dedicated like freeze players are with their Blizzard. So like their Blizzard is gonna be so much higher than their Finale of the Deep artifacts. And you can kind of mitigate that with the elixirs, but the question is, should you even mitigate that with the elixirs instead of like
I
doing the
wouldn't.
elixirs, for example, for like Escoffier, right? Since we all agree here that you probably shouldn't go for Skirk if you don't have Escoffier. It's not like the most, you know, the best choice if you're just trying to get like the strongest characters to clear Abyss and whatnot. So it leaves you in a situation where how reliable is Blizzard to trigger in Abysses?
Not very
I mean,
reliable.
most of the time you're only getting half of the thing because most enemies aren't being frozen. So typically you run your Blizzard on higher crit rate anyway, which just nullifies it over Marcose, which is why I switched my Ica to Marcose instead of being on Blizzard. But so
Yeah.
yeah,
Right,
Marcose
and us
is
saying that
better.
Marcose is like kind of like quote unquote a restriction. I don't know how true that is because also what happens to a Skirk team if you remove Farina? I'm pretty sure the team also suffers a lot.
No, actually, like removing
That was it.
Farina is like much better than removing Escoffier.
It's not
like,
as much for
I-
sure, but
Yeah,
how
wait.
much
I
is it?
think it's not. I calced with Layla to get Calamity. It was like 90k DPS. So
Oh yeah,
honestly,
because
isn't
Calamity
that
exists,
bad.
yeah. What if we don't use Calamity
So-
though?
Okay, well, if you're not switching to Calamity, then it's like worse.
Well, because it's an event weapon. A lot of people skip events sometimes, so people might not have it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's on them.
So. Surely.
Fair. But it also you have to take in mind, right, that people would have to make sure that Lila shield doesn't break, and it probably won't.
too, yeah.
Thankful that due to freeze, but at the same time, bosses, at least for me, they seem to be a lot more aggressive and they hit a lot harder. Like I've seen a
one, yeah.
few abysses where like the jungly shield that was like the best thing for casuals because they never had to worry. Well, they kind of have to worry nowadays.
It's only in
Jungly shield
2025.
doesn't
It's
just
Lila
tank
could
every
never.
single thing in the game, you know? You get 2
Yeah.
smacks from Toba and you're gonna want to recast that shield.
Lila
Yeah, I
could never.
sent what I calced in the group chat.
Okay.
Yeah, so like I still think Blizzard Strayer might not be that bad to go for, and you just kind of push a bit more crit to compensate for it. But
My Ike has been
ideally,
on a
you
crit
don't
rate
do
to
that,
split
and you
now.
just run Mercure, which leaves it in a situation where, what kind of player would we recommend to farm the finale?
No one.
No, I would
Like,
say
actually
no
no one.
one. Like I stopped
actually, no
farming
one.
it too once I realized that. I'm like, man, why farm this trash when I can just farm Marcos?
Also, like even for Varesta
so.
on the plunge set,
Yeah, that too.
it's like
Yeah, that's what I
Obsidian
wanted
is
to
like
say,
so
right?
close.
That's what I wanted to say, that like even if like we were to imagine someone who has Varessa, it's not like Varessa actually wants her artifact set. Kind of doesn't care. And
I mean,
in
it's still
fact, you
strong,
can...
but like, yeah.
Yeah, it's still strong, but it's not like how much strong it was it? Wasn't it
I
like
think
on
like
par or
5?
like
It's
single digit?
1% something.
Yeah.
1%. Oh shit.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
if you do the trick, and again, I'll remind this for the people who might have not heard this before, all you have to do is a short hold E.
Yeah.
And now all of the sudden, there is no conditions on Obsidian, so you can just do completely normal rotation. There is no reason to start with her E, even though starting with her E isn't that bad, because you end up getting 2 E's anyway, due to the cooldown starting while you're doing your buffs. But yeah,
Yeah.
so it
Zaya
seems to me
too.
that like arguably the developers made an oopsie there, maybe, or was
It's
that
just it's
intentional?
just
You
such
guys
a
think?
domain.
It's probably the fact that the crit rate sets that we have currently are just too
Too
strong.
strong.
Yeah, that's the because crit rate is just
Wow.
such a needed stat and such a valuable stat that making new sets that don't have crit rate just makes them less valuable from the get go.
And Marusha say is now strong boxable.
That too as well.
And
So-
also, like, I haven't looked too deep into the calcs, but isn't the damage bonus from Finale similar to the damage bonus from Farina?
Yes.
So if you
Yeah.
happen to have constellations on Farina, God
Yeah.
forbid, wouldn't that automatically also make it worse and worse due
Yes,
to
yes
the...
vertical investment makes Marusha say even better. It's so
Yeah.
stupid.
Yeah.
So we
Yeah.
can't even like cope that like if you invest enough, then finale becomes better, like with certain other characters. So
Do you want to know what's
it's a
even
bit
more funny,
wild to me.
actually?
Yeah.
Before, if you had Skirk's weapon, it gave 33 crit rate.
It's
Which
now
made-
it's
and which is what made like, oh, okay, so if you get Skirk's weapon, then yeah, now Marusha stays kind of useless. But then they
They made
changed
it-
Skirk's weapon to now give less
Yeah.
crit rate, making
Yeah.
Marusha stay.
just to or
horrible.
I'll actually
No,
mention this later. This is a bit of a different topic, but
I was just gonna say one last thing, and like I made the argument that you can use elixirs, but the thing is, you can also use strongbox for Blizzard.
and the March also. So
So
Yeah.
yeah, right. Like
It's-
I'd
it's-
argue strongbox is a bit more accessible than elixirs.
it's
What was
it's
the
just
point of the
significantly
domain?
more efficient to farm Marchose than it would be to farm Finale at the current moment, and it's not even that much. It's hardly even. It's not even an upgrade. So
I guess the only
Genuinely,
thing
what
like
was the
maybe the
point of the
developers
domain?
were thinking about is that like does what's her face? Does Skirk has any front load like Linny where Marishusei might not be optimal, or does she snapshot anything
No.
so Marishusei stacks
No.
would not be optimal for
No.
her playstyle?
no.
Okay, so this is just a bad artifact domain that no one realistically should be farming optimally,
Yeah.
regardless of investment level.
And it's also less resin efficient. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
if you're farming for Skirk, you're farming for Escoffier and
Escoffier
Farina
as
at
well.
the same time.
Yeah.
Jesus
So-
Christ.
It's just a bad domain. Yeah.
So okay, the question becomes, how bad is this domain? Just for like a meme, is it worse than like the animal set for Wanderer?
No.
Or
No. Well.
okay, what
thought
about
Zhao
the day
Ayato
a
was
child
always-
set?
Zhao Ayato
Wait.
was always the worst.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Oh god,
Should
yeah.
get-
Surely
but
there's
that
like a
would-
super old domain that sucks. What, the Thundering Fury domain?
No. We know super domains that
can
suck.
still run-
No blessed domain. No one should be
Yeah.
touching that.
Well, no, but
blessed domain.
Noblesse is a good set
I mean,
though.
Noblesse is still goated till now.
But you can just strongbox it though.
You can
That's
strong
fair.
box it, but at least you have something, right? Like think about the day of an artifact domain. What are you getting out of there? Flop?
Yeah, fair. Kasaga, why are you dying?
I can't
What are
see
you
my
doing,
health
bro?
bar.
It's relatable gameplay. He's doing this.
Just
on
play
purpose.
Escoffier instead. You can heal. What are you doing?
I wanna do Shenhe Ayaka because it's funny.
Really?
With Flip, but Flip's not joining me.
Yeah,
Why
Flip-
would I?
Flip is flopping right now.
Activate your
Um,
C2 jungly.
But
Oh, yeah,
something
sorry.
I want to
Go
talk
on.
about something that we were talking about before. Wait, you're gonna say something, Martin? That's still on
No,
topic?
I was saying, please, like, go on. We've talked about this enough.
Oh yeah. So we talked about how Skirk's weapon went down to 22 crit rate instead of being 33, and at that point, I decided to calc it for Ayaka in the event that its buff actually she can snapshot it. If she snapshot it, it's literally like I think 10% stronger than Miss Splitter,
Damn.
which is funny. And one of my mods in my server said that it's likely that she will because they showed leaks of her actually snapshotting it. So that's it's kind of funny that I got
The meme is
using
the
weapon.
meme has to switch to Azure Light instead of Miss Splitter.
Yeah. The funny thing is too, even if you over crit, because it does give you crit rate. If you're over crit, it's still stronger than Mist. I was like
Mm.
22 crit rate over crit when I was calculating it when I did my normal build I have on currently, and it was still just better. It's kind of crazy. That thing gets way too many stats.
Her weapon is like actually just crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Skirk weapon better investment than Skirk? Question mark?
Oh
I
no.
don't know, maybe if we had more
I
characters,
mean,
I could
how is
use
that
it
with
as
a
well.
Escoffier as well? I kind of forgot. Is it C1 or R1 that you want?
Wait, what do you mean?
For Escoffier,
Oh, R1 probably.
from what I calc for if you just want to buff your crowd character, C1's actually better.
That's true, yes.
Yeah. Plus Fav is an option. Fav is very, very, very good.
Yeah.
So
But by how
Um,
much does anyone like have a percentage? Because I forgot it's been a while.
I
Let me see.
oh he has a percent. Okay, because I
Okay.
calculated kind of
5 point-
haphazardly. I didn't.
Because
I didn't do
depending
the
like if
math
it's few digits, right? Once you consider that if you have Chevreuse or you have Eonson, that automatically changes things.
yes, that too as well. Yeah.
There, it's in the
It-
group.
it's not a big percentage. I don't think if I remember correctly when I calculated it.
And the reason I'm asking this is because I want to see, like, are they leaning more into, like, the constellations being better than signature weapons? Or I mean the other way around? Because,
Okay.
like, you're more likely to get the weapon, which is a
Yes.
good thing. So, like, generally speaking, if you were, like, to actually just do the math and whatnot and check probability, it already is better to get the weapon, so weapons being better than con is a nice thing, which is to be unexpected from a gacha game. So that's nice at
Yeah.
least.
Yeah.
But yeah, Kinkowood's right. C1 buffs 6%
Yeah.
more than the
Yeah.
weapon, but the weapon is like,
It's universal, so I mean, it kind of depends on what kind of account you have, whether it's what's more viable. I went for Sig Weapon on my Ayaka account, because I have Chevrolet and my Yomiya can make good use of it, and Marley too. So.
By the way,
But
I
yeah.
have can I like slightly switch the topic? It's still about Skirk.
yeah, sure.
Oh yeah, go for it.
What do you guys think about so Jeff has been yapping about it a lot, the supportive
Skirk is the
playstyle.
Escoffier is the best support in the game.
Oh, I hate that
Um,
shit so much.
Surely she beats Bennett. Or Farina if you are Farina person.
Killed.
Okay, what I wanted to
Guilty.
say was that what do you guys think about her like quote unquote supportive playstyle, or like quick swap playstyle where you don't normal attack and you just Q with
I
the
haven't looked into
strong
that, so I don't
Q
know. I don't know. I haven't looked into it.
flip?
I've looked into it a bit. I've only seen it good. Okay, I've seen it for Malvika and for Nouvelette. The thing is, there's just it just doesn't like
It's not enough
no
damage to
one
justify, right?
not even that, but leakers haven't like given us consecutive rotations. They've only given us
True.
like one rotation things. So we know how it works in one rotation, but not like continuously.
True.
So we don't even know if it's gonna be like good for multiple rotations. So it's like kind of doesn't seem to be that worth playing.
Wait,
But
okay,
that could
are we
change if
talking about
people can.
Escoffier or are we talking about Skirk?
We're talking about
Skirk,
Skirk's
Skirk,
first
Skirk.
playstyle, like just using her nuke.
He's quick swap playstyle, Skirk.
I don't know. I don't think it's worth it.
I mean, okay, what if like, let's say it's less DPS, right? Because I haven't looked too much into this, but just theorizing that like it does a good front load of damage. Imagine
It
like
does
the
like
chambers
400k
where
damage.
so it doesn't do a good amount of front load?
No, 400k is
It's
good. What do you mean?
decent.
400k is
okay.
good.
You're
No,
sacrificing.
I was
Wait, what?
confused because I heard 40k and I'm like, huh?
No, 400k
400,
does like a
yeah,
good
yeah.
amount of damage.
So like all the chambers where they introduce like 3 elite mobs and then a boss? Couldn't you argue in those situations that rotation would make sense?
It could,
If
yes,
you do a
because there's also
short
like
rotation,
I have a
yeah.
question. Wait, is there something I don't know? So for her quick swap playstyle, does it still need to be a freeze team or no?
it still needs to be a free steam.
Yeah.
Oh fucking hell! Yeah, that's probably not good. I was thinking like, what if you did like Mavika or like Lenny or
Yeah,
some other quick swap
wait,
DPS type thing? That'd be
You
kind of
talked
nice.
about
But no.
Mavuika. I'm confused.
Yeah,
Wait.
but it's like not good for Malvika.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I mean, does it work? Would it work? Would it be? A thing?
I mean, any
Like,
team
it
that has
works, but you-
Mavuika and Mavuika
I mean-
is allowed to do a reaction, it's gonna
I
be
mean,
a good team,
I guess so, but
right? Like, but yeah. So I guess her having like the quote-unquote alternative playstyle could be intentional from the devs to deal with the wave content like that. Like they could on purpose do it, and they seem to have been consistently doing it throughout Abysses right now, right? Where they introduce a few quote-unquote tankier mobs and then a boss, and teams, for example, since we're talking about Mavuika, like if you were to burst on Mavuika there, cool, you overkill the enemies by like 500,000. And now you're doing a lot more comparable damage to the rest of the DPSs in the game. So ideally you don't want to do that and you just want to like bike them if you can, if that's enough damage and whatnot. So her having the option, I don't think it's bad. I think it's still relevant to talk about it because usually when we do theory crafting, it's mostly for Abyss.
yeah. I mean,
It should be theorycrafting for Thea turn.
I mean, we could talk about the third thing, but I'm not sure if that's related to the today's episode. The third in-game game mode that's rumored to come.
Oh yeah, there's two little details.
Rumored.
Yeah.
Rumored
Yeah.
is has an entire UI and we've seen gameplay of it.
Alleged
you
new
know,
game mode.
is it actually true that you don't start with your energy?
You
Yeah,
don't start with
Yeah,
any
that-
energy.
The theme was
true.
pretty much confirmed. Yeah.
God.
It's
Do
so
you know what's
dog.
funny though? Movika and Skirk start with full energy, and
Yeah, of course.
because
Yeah, of
it
course they
isn't
do.
technically
They're trying to-
energy.
They're trying to sell the characters. Of course they do.
Okay.
Yeah.
So like,
Oh, yeah.
if we're talking future impact, well, I think I talked already too much about it, but like, could it be that that's the mechanic of the next region? Just characters don't care about their bursts.
It would be cool.
Maybe.
That would be kind of cool if we got a bunch of characters that didn't. But I have a feeling they wouldn't do that. But
Or like,
We'll
it
see,
could
I
just
guess.
something be as wild as they just give you your burst. Like, imagine
That's
if they
kind of what
introduce
Skirk
like
does.
characters passives that just give you your burst straight up.
That's kind of what
I
Skirk does.
think I
Yeah.
feel like Honkai Star Rail did that with a lot of characters, and I'm so
Yeah,
like I
Acheron.
was so happy that
Yeah.
that Mavrika, that was the only thing I was happy about during Mavrika beta, that she has a different burst that requires difference. I hated that it was Natlan locked, because why
Yeah.
was it Natlan locked? But yeah, and I also like Skirk, so I hope we get more characters with special bursts. Also, Ryan should have had a special burst, to be honest. I mean, she's the first character.
She should have. Her burst should have just been if you do 3 elemental bursts, it gives you the energy.
Yeah.
Energy. Yeah, that would have been really nice. Rather than like you overkill an enemy, you start the next chamber with no energy, and you're spending
Yeah.
like half an hour trying to get the burst back up because it's 90 energy cost. So
Yeah, and that would
Yeah.
also fix the awkward anti-synergy with Mavrika and Raiden. That Mavrika doesn't count as like a real burst. Very annoying.
Dude, I was sorry. I just find it like actually fucking hilarious how like the way of enemies, they'll just like take your entire team's energy. Malvika can just like still nuke it.
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm still anxious about the AOPs. Like, I swear I'm paranoid about the way ups because I have it scares me. It wakes me up at night just imagining them putting like 2 way ups back to back.
I don't
know if that would be
think. I
that
think
bad,
wayups are
though.
like real. Okay, this is more goes into like enemy design. I think all the like not enemies have been like amazingly designed. Like with the way-ups, they've always positioned the way-ups as like either the beginning enemy or the second enemy. And they never have like way-ups back to back because I think it's the idea is that okay, you're about to like finish off this enemy. So now you have to like work around starting your next rotation currently that also kills, and then you get to hit the way-up. To either
Yeah.
kill
The
them
way
before it puts up a
aren't
shield
too
or
bad if
they
like
can
you know
sell.
how to do energy management, which I'd argue a lot of
Yeah.
people don't have enough energy on their characters. But my
Yes.
point is like
Yeah.
you realize what would happen if there were 2 way ups back to back.
Yeah, it would suck. But I mean,
It-
not really,
I
because
thought you
they give
can-
you full energy.
Horrible.
Yeah, I feel like
Gives
you
you
can
full-
manage it though.
Yeah.
I really feel like you
Like-
could manage it.
You could manage it if you time things correctly, but if you end up not timing things correctly, that's gonna be a big reset. Like that's gonna
Yeah.
be a chamber that you're just gonna have to quote unquote perfect. Otherwise, you're not allowed to go through it. Or play characters
And
that
I
don't
think-
run burst like Mavika or Skirk.
And I think that honestly adds to like the fun of the enemies. I think it's fun how like an enemy forces you to have to like adapt to it, or you just get
Yeah.
like cooked,
Yeah.
or you're just
Except for
Malvika.
I mean, I don't like the Papilia is to be honest, but
Sure.
that's like one enemy that you have to adapt to. That's kind of annoying, but beyond those guys, but and they're tenebrious enemies too.
The only issue with that though is like characters that really rely on burst to do anything of significant. Because
Yeah.
once you take their burst away, if like let's say, because after all, like with the way ups, you have a certain amount of time before it puts up its shield, assuming you're not gonna try to go outside the range of it absorbing stuff with a range unit,
can
or
do
you're
that?
not gonna freeze it. Yeah, you can, believe it or not.
You can. I'm pretty sure. Don't think once you go back into the arena, they keep draining your energy again, don't they?
Yeah, but that's why I specifically said with range units. So let's say you're playing Ganyu,
range
for
units, yeah,
example,
yeah.
you can just sit from a distance and shoot it.
That is
And
very true. Yeah.
you couldn't care less about the energy drain. You can also break its boys with a bunch of like Dragon Strike stuff or like just Sinchu, I guess, swords or whatever. Or you could freeze it. But like putting these mechanics aside, right? If you were to fight the way up with the with like a burst reliant team like Jiangling or Zarya or Farina, I'd even argue to some extent, but not really.
Terms, I know.
Yeah, right. Like, what are you supposed to do? You just kind of either activate like you said, for example, Kinkle Sino, and you get to have Sino actually do something on the team, or you activate the buffers for Sino, and Sino does normal attacks, physical normal attacks. You know, like my issue is that kind of tilts the team into you wanting to care about animation speed. Like you guys have a term I believe in Honka Star Rail, it's called speed tuning.
Speed tuning, oh no.
Yeah, speed tuning.
Like that's how it feels when I'm fighting, like, or I'm trying to visualize, like, in my head a team to fight the way up. That, like, can I do a Bennett burst and an Aeonson burst, or like a Citalali burst, and still active the burst on like my burst line DPS? And that's why
Yeah.
I'm arguing that 2 Wyabs would just be horrible, because like you'd have to align everything perfectly.
Honestly, I think
Actually,
it would be fun.
I had to go through that with the Ayaka pre-Escoffier because I had, like, on the last Abyss, I had to prep my Ayaka beforehand while killing that lava avatar, just so she could burst him down, so she'd break down the shield before it went out. And I threw it with Escoffier because freeze, but yeah.
So what about the new Abyss then? How do you feel about it so far?
It's
I
good
like it.
and pretty easy.
Yeah, it's I liked it. There are a lot of teams for it. It's not too bad. Little truth on second time, top half is like super easy though, so it's really not that bad.
I see. Because I know a lot of people really like the Mizuki Abyss because it had mobs, and this new Abyss seems to just be only boss rush from what I've seen.
I mean, top half has mobs.
No, top half is mobs.
Double
Yeah,
half
that
has
was
mobs. Okay.
Like PMA is. I mean, PMA is there.
Yeah, PMA just exists.
Love PMA.
Besides PMA, it's just mobs.
PMA, well, it's not. Well, it's PMO. Piss me off.
PMA,
Piss me off, whatever.
PMO.
Yeah. I will say I did have a bit of trouble on my free-to-play account doing it. That was just for 12.3. My using Arlecchino overload. You had trouble breaking the shield. I had to find out a
Yeah.
rotation that was fast enough to break it. I think the only issue.
I did it with I actually did it with Baressa, the Papilla shield.
Yeah.
Oh.
Recommendation, by the way, if people are still struggling with the Babilla, you do not need Natline units.
Yeah, you don't.
Characters
Hyper
like
Bloom!
Kali can be surprisingly good at breaking the shield with any form of viral. Characters like
Emily.
Corin, they're also really good at
Dude,
breaking it.
Corin's amazing. Emily, with
like-
any kind of burning team is great. Because burning
Like the
counts as a
biggest
hit.
example of that, because there's still people out there who think like we're trolling, or like we're trying to make it so the game isn't catering to Natlan. Try Molani against the Babilla. You'll understand why
Yeah.
the Babilla
Yeah.
is not a Natlan.
Movuka needs a hyper-specific combo to break
Yeah.
it.
Yeah,
Movuka
right.
does.
Veressa is slower than Chlorine at breaking the shield.
Yeah. No, Corin's the
Yeah.
goat at breaking that thing, dude.
Yeah,
Holy
right.
so-
Chlorine C6 official just evaporates.
Dude,
it.
that thing's gone so easy. Oh,
Also, I'm
dude.
gonna say something maybe a little bit cursed, but like also Amber Burst. Pretty
Yeah.
decent.
Oh,
If
yeah,
you
Amber
have
Burst is good.
Elegy,
Yeah.
right? You can just use Amber Burst. It's also pretty decent. Like there's plenty of options, and the thing is, people think that ICD matters. ICD
No, it doesn't.
doesn't
Yeah, it
matter on
doesn't.
that boss.
It's literally
So
his.
as
just
long
the
as
hit
you're
counter.
just doing, like, what matters is the quantity, not the quality. If you can think of any character that you have that does a lot of elemental hits, just do it. Not application hits, which is
Yeah.
something I feel like a lot of the casual players just,
What?
to them,
Well-
ICD is elemental hits, because we as quote unquote theory crafters or content creators have always told them, like, these things don't apply as much as you think they do. But now, that matters now. Like, that doesn't matter versus that boss specifically, so it's important to note.
What's even
Also, I know
the,
oh, go ahead.
what's the multiplier for Natlan unit? Like, how much is it
Three.
just 2 or
3.
It's 3.
I
It's
think
3.
every hit
Just-
counts as 3 hits instead.
I see.
Yes.
But the problem is most non units don't hit that many times, except for like Chaska and
Unless
Kanich.
your name's Kanichi, yeah.
Yeah, Kanich has burning to his name, so burning. People also know that elemental reactions count as hits as well. So overload and burning and hyper bloom all
Yeah.
count.
Also, it
So-
might
Like burning
sound
is
like
so
a
good.
stretch, but at least personally, I'd like to hear what you guys think. I found the
Not the Paimon.
Cheverus to be very good at breaking the shield.
Oh yeah. C4 Chevrolet is pretty nice because of her
Yeah.
extra explosions. They do
Oh,
extra hits
true,
as
yeah.
well. So yeah, Chevrolet
Yeah.
is pretty decent.
But the thing I hate about in Notlin is that with the enemy designs, people decided to just like fucking turn their brains off completely. with every single Natlan enemy. I was watching Soul the other day, and he said that the way up shield is like Night Soul based when it's just damage based, and
Yeah.
it gets to a point. Like, and it's so weird that we have enemies like actual mechanics they have to interact with, and then because with other enemies in like Fontaine, like the Numa Uja stuff, you could quite literally just ignore it and still kill the enemies. But at least with the Natlan enemy design, it's been like more in your face to where you can't ignore the mechanics, and now people just decides to not engage with them at all. And it makes me realize that a lot of people don't really know how enemies work. And then it's like, yeah, like this. The arguments people make for the Natlan enemy mechanics have never been made before for any other enemy. Rune guards are best dealt by shooting them in the eye twice, but no one actually does
But no one
that.
talks about it.
What fuck my brain died. The Asimon drones disappear if you don't kill them quick enough, and then you have to use Quicken to fight
Yeah.
them. But no one was really complaining about that. Asimon himself, the Terror Shroom, with how Quicken and Burning interact with it and make it weaker. Why is it
Yeah.
only in Natlan that people are deciding to complain about any mechanics and like not experiment at all? Where we've
I
always
think I
been
can
finding
actually
solutions.
answer that question.
It's so
Not that I'm
stupid.
agreeing with them, right?
Yeah, go
I'm not
ahead.
agreeing with them, Flip, but I think the main reason people don't like these mechanics is because of the consequences of you not engaging with the mechanics. If you don't engage with the Ruin Guard, if you don't engage with, let's say, Asmon, if you don't engage with any of these bosses, you don't get an AoE one-shot through shields.
That's true.
I think that
Yeah.
what pisses people off,
That's
right?
that is
It's
like
not the
the
fact
thing,
that there
right?
is a mechanic, it's the fact that you die, right? And
Yes.
as stupid as it might sound, a lot of people might not want to get the stars. They just want to go through Abyss, and them
Yeah.
dying within the first 20 seconds just feels horrible because they want to finish it, and
Yeah.
they are unable to because, well, they got one shot. So they go put on a shield, they get one shot. They try to hit the thing as hard as they can. The shield isn't breaking faster. So it is mostly obviously the player's fault. I don't think it's the developer's fault. I think, the meme gacha players don't read. If you were to read, you would just understand it. But also, it would be helpful from the devs, for example, if they were to give a tooltip, like they do in
They
the
do
main.
do that though. Like they do that. They literally
actually
give you like the infographics and tell you exactly how the
Yeah, yeah.
enemies work. People just don't read them.
On the
Yeah.
outside, right? I wish they did that on the inside. So when you like go into the chamber 3, right? I wish there was like a thing top left that you can see on the mains that just tells you, hey, this is the mechanic for the boss. That's how you do the boss. Now,
Yeah.
I'm not saying the developers
mean-
are horrible for not doing it. I'm just saying that would probably help a bunch of people because it's very unlikely for people to check and read the things before they go into the chamber. They usually just go into the chamber after just looking at the enemy's icon and generally getting like what they're allowed to run and what they're not
Wait,
allowed to run.
now I want to know, can you like search in the tutorials?
Yes, you can. And they've
You
even
literally
made
do
it
look
like
for a thing.
yeah.
You can, but
even
that's
see
assuming you can find where they are.
They've ordered it by enemies
Oh,
too
okay.
now. You can just see. You can search. You can even search up the exact enemy you
Again,
want to
yes,
look at.
it will show. It was
It's so
the tutorial.
extremely convenient now.
Okay.
It
I
really
think,
is.
like-
It's just
think-
unfortunate that a lot of people don't know about this button, right? Like
Yeah,
a lot of people don't understand what the archive is. They've never been to this menu before, other than when it popped out while they were exploring and they got one primo.
Someone
For
just
ignoring
opens
the
the archive for the first time and gets like 300 primo gems.
Yep.
Holy, yeah.
I know.
think
Yeah,
the
search-
I
problem
don't know.
is
It's just
most
been
people just-
frustrating seeing people talk about Nalan enemies and call them bad while not knowing
Yeah.
how to fight the enemies.
Yeah.
And as
I
someone who like I
remember-
love Souls. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say I remember I watched Juice's video when Juice was ranting about that when the business ability was first introduced and saying like it's Shaska pilled and the dragon is Farina pilled. I'm like, dog, you literally can use all the. Have you not thought of
Xingqiu-
Xingqiu or using
Xingqiu
coriander
fucking
using
destroys
Yeah,
that
it's-
shit.
like Nouvellette can do it too. Even you just break the. It's just.
And it's like
Yeah.
even
I mean,
if the content creators themselves don't
Did-
understand how the enemies work, I can't even blame like normal players. When the content
'cause
creators
yeah,
say like,
right.
"Oh, you need Farina to break the dragon," or "Oh,
So
the
that's
way
why
of
while-
Night Soul based."
So that's why,
Yeah.
while I agree with you, Flip, I think it's better game design because it's not as restrictive as the general public, let's call them, think it is. There is a
Yeah.
huge disparity between someone who knows these things and someone who doesn't. The person
Yeah.
who doesn't, it just seems like you haven't built Natline characters, you die. You don't get to play the game.
Yeah.
And that does not feel good for them because, again, in their head, in the reality they're living in, it's just I'm being punished for not bowling for the current unit that I don't want to bowl for. And
Yeah. And then they rant and cry about
I don't
it.
know if it's the community's responsibility to kind of like teach people more about these things, or it's Hoyo's responsibility to teach people more about these things, or it's no one's responsibility and you're punished for not engaging with the game mechanics like you suggested. I really can't say for sure.
The thing is, I don't know why Abyss especially has become this thing where it's like, oh, it has to be easy. It has to be like this bi-weekly chore that you do. No, it's an end game mode. I think end game modes should be challenging. They should
Yeah, I
test you.
agree.
You know what the funny part is? We were like a year ago. We were ranting about
easy!
we want
Yes!
harder end game. It's too easy. This game is like so easy to do. There's no reason to farm like weeks and weeks for artifacts and leveling up our characters when we can just go into Abyss and clear it with just the weakest characters ever, right? But then we get a harder Abyss and we're like, dude, nah, they can't be doing this. We just it's just it's kind
It's
of
because
wild.
people have been fucking using Nouveau or Arlecchino for too long, and they just haven't engaged with any of the game's mechanics, and they don't like know past that. And it's so frustrating. I don't know.
Yeah.
Because
Amen to
I'm
that.
someone who
Amen
plays
to
like
that.
a lot of Souls games, where like the thing is experiment with these bosses,
Yes.
or you're going to die. So for
You will-
me,
yeah,
I
yeah.
love how this game does the direction the game's been going recently.
But
with the
also to
enemies.
be fair, not only did we do get harder abysses because the HP overall has increased significantly since we started
Yeah.
Natlan.
Okay, another thing I want to
Yeah.
complain about people saying HP inflation, but go ahead. Make
Yeah.
your point.
Like we also are getting mechanics that are, you're supposed to engage with them, otherwise you just die. And the third thing, we're getting elemental checks a lot more aggressive than before, you could argue. And all of this would be fine if they add the quality of life that you can just do chambers separately.
Mm.
I
feel like that-
feel like that would solve all of these issues. If you can just say, hey, take me to chamber 3, because I've already finished 1 and 2, and you go with a different team, that would solve things.
I agree.
Now, I'm
I
not
have
sure
to-
that's what Hoyo is trying to do, but I don't know.
Maybe it's a hot take for me because someone brought this up in my stream yesterday where they're like, oh, I'm having trouble with Abyss. It's just one chamber 12-3. If I could just go to that chamber, and I'm like, for me,
You
I
can
like
do that as well, but it takes
you
longer.
can do that. Yeah, I mean, I just told them all you gotta do is ignore the timers and just pick the team you want.
Yeah.
As long as they can deal damage, you'll clear. But I like the challenge of that. Not necessarily challenge, but like the effort of having to say, I let me get through these other chambers so I can get to the chamber I'm actually gonna try on, rather than just saying, let me just teleport to this, clear real quick, then boom, done. But maybe that's just me. Maybe I just like harder content. I don't know.
Also, one last thing, someone in the chat pointed out something actually that I forgot. I find it a bit scummy, personally, that they do not state how much is the HP multiplier for Abyss, and they keep changing it all the way from 300 to 350 to 375 without noting anywhere that that's happening.
Yeah, that is true.
Has
Like,
it
yes,
increased?
No, it actually has
has
increased. yes.
increased, and then it has decreased, and then it went back to what it was before, and then it increased again. It keeps fluctuating. If you go in like any website that shows you Abyss,
Yeah.
on
wait,
HomGD
like the actual multiplier changes.
Yeah.
Yes, an actual
So, like,
multiplier for Abyss
everything in
HP changes.
412
Yeah.
ends up multiplying usually, right? What we're used to is 300. They've made it 375, then they sent it back to 300, then they sent it back to like I think
Oh.
350, and they keep like
Yeah.
pushing it back and forth, and it gives people false perception of how certain enemies, like how tanky they are and how not tanky.
Yeah.
For example, my most hated boss in Natlan, the automaton, for example.
Yeah.
The difference
that thing-
between an automaton with 300 HP and 375 can be as much of a difference almost as him being in chamber 2 and chamber 3.
Yeah, I remember we got a chamber 2 automaton 2 abysses in a row recently, and one was like 3.7 mil, and the next one was like 4.6 or some shit. Like it was a
Yeah.
big difference. It was like a million. So
Right.
they have been like shifting it a lot for whatever reason. That doesn't really make any sense.
And the reason I have an issue with that is people understand that higher level equal more tanky, but people do not
Yeah.
understand multipliers because the game doesn't state anywhere that there's multipliers. So people might get the perception that my Arlecchino cannot clear the automaton if automaton is on level 3, even though their Arlecchino would be able to if the automaton didn't have the higher multiplier of 375 and instead only had the 300 one.
Yeah.
So that also doesn't sit well with me. I wish they would state it. I wouldn't mind them keeping it hidden if it was consistent, but the fact that it's so inconsistent and changes every other abyss, it feels like it. I think they should state it somewhere. In the
I actually
tooltip
didn't
or,
even know
like-
it changed. I thought it was always
Yeah.
been like 300. I thought it was always 300%.
no,
no,
it's,
as you can
it's been
see,
changing constantly.
And I guess while we're on the abyss topic, how do you guys feel about floor 12 abyss blessings?
I think they should just I think it should go back to 1.0
Yeah, I was
where
gonna
they
say,
just didn't have them.
that's what I was gonna say too. I don't like the fact they're adding them because it's doing two things. One, it's making certain characters seem way better than they currently are. Like I said, Emily, this Abyss was extremely strong. I mean, she's still strong, but like, and that's also making it to where people get the perception that this is what Hoya wants probably, but they need to pull a certain character to equate to the Abyss blessing that we're getting. Or
The crazy PR that Nuvolet got, because till this day, people still think Nuvolet can solo Abyss, but no, it was just that one Abyss blessing that made him the equivalent of having like a max C2 fucking Farina buff. People
The
still
usage
think
rate
Oh my
has
God.
told me that Risley solo is better than Risley with a team. You cannot lie to me, Flip.
Dude.
Risley has a passive. Whenever there is any teammates around, he does triple bunches instead of a single bunch. True.
But yes,
But yeah.
I hate blessings skew things way too much to the point that people do not understand how actual strong characters are. So then people complain about power creep in this game, like, oh, just a few patches ago my Nuvolet was so good, but now this character is way better. But it's the fact that your Nuvolet is no longer being showed, on top of the fact that the new character is getting showed. This also happens in HSR a lot, where people think their teams are much stronger or much worse than they actually are, depending on like the blessing that's going to happen.
The HSR endgame shilling is so bad.
It's so much worse because it's in all three endgame modes. It's so stupid.
I hope that's
You know,
that's not the case in the new endgame mode. If there's an intense amount of shilling, okay, I guess there's already shilling, but like distributed shilling, not just one team.
And the fact that if a character's like the star in Imaginary Theater, they just got 20% boost to their stats permanently at all times. What are we doing? Why?
Wait, did they
I think
actually
that's
increase
so
that
much.
from like 20% to something more?
What is it now?
I don't know, but I remember them increasing it, and I thought they were gonna like reset it back, but they never did. So you might
Wait,
like if
will
someone can
increase?
double check, please. I think the
I
IT
missed
buff
that.
is actually more than 20.
Oh, the IT buff? Did it?
Yeah.
I'm not on Genshin now. Chaga, maybe
I think they
Chaga.
increased it, so if you can check
It
that would be
says
nice.
20.
I'm pretty sure it's still the same. It's been the same. I don't think it's ever changed.
Maybe they added one more thing, I think maybe is what I'm thinking. Like instead of it just being HP and attack, it also is EM or something like that.
No, it's
I know they
HP
added the
death.
for like
HP
visionary mode. They added the extra buffs, but like I don't know if there's anything else.
Could be. Maybe I'm misremembering, but I personally wouldn't have as much issue with it if it weren't for the fact that not only are the buffs better,
too strong, too strong,
but the buffs are a lot more niche than floor 11. Like look at the blessing for floor 11 and look at the one for floor 12.
It's literally like cryo skill damage and dendro skill damage. It could have just been general cryo damage. It's
yeah, right.
Like that
but
one.
Right now it's like if your name is Jeff, you get a buff basically.
Yeah.
If your name is Jeff and you eat breakfast at 9 a.m. specifically, and that breakfast is also oatmeal, then you get a 200% damage boost. I hate it so much.
Right? Like I personally like I still would rather not have it, but I really wouldn't mind it nearly as much if it was like what you said, Kinko, which is just like cryo damage does more. Or like like charge attack in general does more, or like normal attacks does more. But when it's like hydro elemental skill that happens to drain HP, like oh
you know, okay, you aren't ready for
Alright,
this.
you know you got me.
You aren't ready for this. Energy at 0.
One.
Yeah, right.
Oh
like,
my god, did they do that? Wait, oh yeah, that's
energy is at 0.
Oh dude, it's so bad.
It's so awful. It's actually, I think it's bad. I liked it much better when the Abysses just had no buffs because I thought it was like because like you know how in floor 11 it always had buffs. Yeah, exactly. I thought the thing in floor 12 is that okay, you're getting no more handouts. This is just going to be the raw damage that your characters do, and I liked that feeling. Then the earlier floors you have buffs to like be a hand holding thing, and floor 12 is supposed to be like no training wheels.
I was watching Saluna, I believe at some point he was touching Kanich, right? And when Kanich came out, he had a buff that, according to his calculations at least, which I trust somewhat, his level, I think it was 60 Kanich with no passive, was basically doing as much damage as a Kanich without the passive.
Oh, so stupid.
That's for reference how much of a difference these blessings make. And like the current blessings, I'd argue, are even stronger than Kanish's blessing, and it's like you guys said, we use Abyss for like benchmarking, quote unquote.
Yes.
And we do theory crafting, we've already established that before, also for Abyss. So if Abyss is just gonna be an absolute glaze for certain units, then
I can't stand it. And the thing that's the most annoying is that they already make like specific enemies for the characters anyway.
That too as well.
Exactly, yeah.
Every time
Like that-
someone comes into Abyss, I wonder who's gonna be on banner. Sino. So it's like, why are we giving them buffs on top of this? It makes no sense.
It's a
let me
wild- it's a
add the
wild thing.
fact that there is like the moon debuff or
Yes,
whatever the heck it's called.
That as
Yes,
well.
that
That's on
too.
top of all of this as well. That's like, oh, if you
Yeah.
happen to do freeze,
It's
you just
always
do
this,
30k true damage. Like
The
yeah,
moon, the
other-
moon buffs aren't like crazy. There's one time we had one that was insane when Farina came. There's two ones that when Farina, I think her rerun had one.
Yeah.
One of them was like when Farina had a rerun, she could gain like damage bonus or something for like losing HP or some shit, which was crazy. It was a lot. So that'd be
I
like
think
50 or
Bullet
something.
as well. I think one of
But
the
then there
Bullet,
was
buffs was literally like equivalent of you getting a whole stack for free.
Yes,
I think.
yes, it was.
Yeah.
Like
There's another one for Farina that I
Again,
didn't
it's
know
why I
was-
think people's perceptions of New Valette has just been fucking destroyed.
yeah.
Yeah, there was a Noelle video I did, but when Farina first came out, where it was like when you lose HP, you gain curate. I was on my friend's account. He had a 50 curate Noelle that ended up having over 100 curate because of that buff, and she was doing 100 stacks. That video got so many
And it's
views.
like,
it
like,
overinflated
we need to
Noelle
do this?
because of that, dude.
I just don't think we need to do this. Like, am I
We don't.
insane? There's just no
We
reason
don't.
for this,
The only reason is for you to sell the characters more. That's the
and
only
I just
reason
like
behind it.
that. I don't know.
I hate it a lot. I hate it a lot.
Which is why I was mentioning before that the game feels like it's moving in a direction where a lot of the charm for me at least, right, with Genshin is that a character wasn't just a kit. A character was more of synergies with elements with other characters. Nowadays, it feels like they're adding more and more hyper-specific supports. And the difference between the second best option and the first best option is kind of massive. On top of these also buffs and interaction, you don't just to get like to have a quote-unquote a strong character and put them in an unconventional team and be able to still clear Abyss if you have the proper investment. Like you still can obviously with enough investment, but my point is that if they keep going in that direction, like people who don't have full out decked like best in slot teams will have so much bigger of difference than people who don't, that you might just not be able to do it. Like for example, imagine a scenario where Kinich without Emily just can't clear, right?
Yeah.
Like you could debate that already kind of with like Skirk, like we already talked about, and Ayaka. Like
The thing is, the thing that gives me some hope is that I think Skirk is just a one-off thing, just due to how bad the Hydra and Cryo roster is. I hope,
Yeah.
hopefully, this direction doesn't carry on. The only other like element that could have it this bad is Dendro. So, because
Yeah.
Dendro like doesn't exist outside of Nahida and Emily. But yeah,
And Kinect.
I just hope.
And Kinect.
Kinich is a Byro
Oh,
character.
Kinichi, yes, obviously. I just want to say, yeah, I feel like it might just be a Hydro Cryo Dendro thing, maybe.
And I think it's like I mentioned before. I think it's just the fact that we just don't have the 4-stars or like other characters, the alternatives to what we currently have at the moment, because the
You mean
roster's been
Alia?
the roster's been shush. The roster's
that's
been
the thing.
unupdated for so long, to be honest. So
I don't think they're ever like maybe this is me being a bit pessimistic here, but seeing Dahlia, it kind of makes me think that they don't want to fix the 4 stars Hydro don't exist for the most
Yeah.
part. I feel like
I mean-
they realize that is the case, and people will just pull for Hydro units because lack of Hydro units being like accessibility in terms of accessibility.
I do also think that the reason that why like Freeze only has like 5-star units, which with Shenhe and Escoffier, it might be due to the fact that if you look at what Freeze does, it innately is a very powerful reaction because because it does like every non-boss is just rendered basically ineffective. So it could be their way of balancing Freeze is just that there's just a limited pool of units that can actually take advantage of it. The same thing with Hyperbloom to an extent, because Hyperbloom is just like literally free 400k DPR for triggering a reaction and building full EM, which takes no effort. So maybe it's just like a sort of balancing act for the reactions.
Okay, I feel like, to be honest, even in these days, like, first, not just because Abyss came and like groupable freeze got like pushed out, I feel like still we would the newer carries just aren't like, even though they are obviously not cryo or hydro carries, they don't care about freeze. I feel like freeze is just the utility like of you're getting to consolidate your AoE because they are like not moving. But newer characters don't care about the enemies not moving, right? Like I like newer.
You know what I think it is? Like the closest comparison I can think of, and maybe like I'm wrong here. It feels kind of like having your burst on Risley or like Wanderer, where it's like if you have it, if you happen to
Use
have the
it.
freeze up, that's like cool and all. But if you don't have it, it's not the end of the world. Like
Oh, yeah,
you're fine, you're chilling.
I forgot. Yeah, Blizzard. In my opinion, like Blizzard was a big power thing of.
The correct
Freeze
stuff,
as well, yeah, true.
Okay, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe
I wanted to talk about Ayaka versus like Skirk, but the thing about that, like, I feel like a big part of it is just quote unquote the comfort of Skirk, or the like ease of use slash like being easier to pilot. So I'm not sure if that we should talk about it now rather than when the character is released and we've tested it out.
The thing with Ayaka versus Skirk is that even if Ayaka is theoretically like close to Skirk, Skirk is just more like less of a hassle to use, I guess.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay,
I
but like
don't
the
find
fact
after
that
that much of a hassle to use the Escoffier now, but yeah, sure.
I
find
want
it
to
less
say the
comfortable.
fact that you're saying this is crazy because like on the first day I really thought you were just doom posting Skirk. I thought you were like,
Me?
this character is 10% or like 5% above Ayaka only.
No. I wasn't like, you know, I have common sense.
I thought you were doom posting. Yeah.
I wasn't even posting. Ayaka got like one of the biggest buffs in the game with Escoffier.
Okay, your comments were doom. They were like calling Skirk shit.
She's like, I don't. Yeah, the thing I don't understand why people are like, wait, she's close to Ayaka, as if Ayaka didn't receive like
Yeah,
a 30k.
exactly.
Yeah.
You know, you finally guys feel how I feel about the Luke, where whenever the Luke got Shenyun, everyone was like, "Ah, yeah,
This character's
cares?
worse than the Luke.
You know, this character is terrible. This character is horrible." Till now, people's perception of the Luke that like he is significantly worse than Gaming, and Gaming like is better than him by like 50%. And I'm just sitting here like, guys, the Luke does more damage than Hu Tao. What are you on about?
It's like a 10% difference between Gaming
Yeah.
and wait, hold on. Let me see
Right?
if Stan has it.
And people think so highly of Gaming and think so low of the Luke, and I don't think it's because of any actual reason. It's because people perception have been already written in their head. It has been engraved that the Luke is bad.
I'm gonna say
Right?
something
It's a first
controversial.
impression. It's a
Yeah,
first.
it's
I'm
the
gonna say
first
something
impression.
mean. I feel like this in reverse, but for Arlecchino. Arlecchino.
I
The
agree,
PR
I think-
Arlecchino has is so crazy. Arlecchino is like worse damage-wise than every single Natlan DPS right now, but yet people are acting like he's still in like a top 3 discussion.
Yeah, people call
It's
it
so
a
insane.
top 3
Okay,
all the time.
If we're
I
gonna
don't
become
get
toxic
it.
and call people out, you know what I think it is? I think it's the Hu Tao mains migrating into becoming an Arlecchino.
That's true.
So they're just gonna keep telling you how their main is significantly better. But yes, I do agree. I've seen a lot of people also like that I talked to personally that still think that Arlecchino beats Mavuika. Like
The
she's just more
PR
comfy,
that
she does
Arlecchino
more
has
DPS
is so
technically,
crazy.
and I'm just like,
That's so funny.
yes.
I think
I
maybe
will say this though,
Corin
someone-
is better than Arlecchino right now, I'm saying it.
as
Okay,
like
man.
someone who's vertically investing in Arlecchino, like even just C2 pushes her up so much though. I don't know.
I was
Yeah.
That's
going
why I
to
still rate
say
her pretty
that.
highly. Because
I-
dude, my C2 Arlecchino clears so much faster than both my Vrest and my Clurin at the current moment because of Silali. Well, also Silali C2, so Silali
I
vertical
think what
investment
people are
compared to-
confusing is very simply
probably the-
people are clearing with Arlecchino, so in their head, Mavuika didn't power creep her because both can clear. I think that's what like it goes down to, right?
Yeah,
Rather
but
than
yeah,
that
I'm not
this
saying
character
Arlecchino's
does
bad.
more
Yeah,
damage.
Yeah, Arlecchino's still like amazing. Like I'm not gonna say
Yeah.
like wow you wasted your pulls playing for Arlecchino. She's still one of the best DPS in the game. I still think she's a top tier DPS. It's just that people act like she's so much better than the Natlan DPS for like close to no reasoning.
Yeah, I think a lot of other players are just early con pilled, and I will say that at C2 she bunks like a lot of other C2
Yeah.
carries.
I agree too. Yes,
Yeah,
her vertical
that
investment
is-
is really good.
It's very good. Yeah, her C1's like a
Her C2,
30
her C2 as well is just
Yeah,
Yeah.
you see one and C2 are very strong increases. Plus it lolly vertical investment as well. That's another thing too. The current carries we've got now, besides what we don't have, I guess maybe Milani too, don't have like crazy amounts of vertical investments.
I mean, Nolani C1.
I know. I mean, like
Shaska
Milani.
C1.
Well, okay. Chaska Movika, except for Chaska Movika and not Chaska Movika and Milani, every other like Varessa and
Varesa's C1 is fucking gas.
Hey,
yeah,
man,
like, even like
it-
Corinne in the current
It could
moment
be
doesn't have
Shalon
the
in
greatest vertical
C1,
investment.
okay?
Shalun C1 sucks. Varesa C1 sucks. What does Kenny C1 do again? It gives him
strong.
actually
It's
pretty good.
100
It's actually pretty
damage.
good. Yeah, Kanisha's another one who has pretty good vertical investment. He's actually pretty good. His C1 and C2 are both pretty strong. And he also has like Almui C2, stuff like that. So
And his weapon is strong.
yeah,
I guess all the Nathan
Um,
weapons are.
Sorry, I just
The
have
issue
to
I have,
rant
honestly,
about
with, like,
Arlecchino
claymores-
quickly. I'm sorry.
I will say
It's
this
like-
though. I feel like would y'all have the take that Ayaka at the current moment is better than Arlecchino? I've heard this debated.
Wait, no,
Uh,
not really. Not really.
Like, if we're just talking cheat DBS, maybe I can see that take. But if we're talking overall flexibility, like being able to like get countered by Abyss rotations, like Arlecchino can switch to Overload and she really wouldn't care. You can take away
Yeah.
from her Bennett and she'll be fine with the Yonsan. Like,
They're finding it. They're finding
For
it.
sure,
Meanwhile,
Arlecchino's still
Ayaka,
better than
like-
Ayaka.
My Ayaka
Ayaka,
team
if you
is pretty
put, like, a
faster than
worm,
my
there
Arlecchino
goes her
Overload
hopes and
teams.
dreams.
So I don't know. I feel my Arlecchino Overload teams feel kind of weak. Maybe it's because my Ayaka's a bit more invested because better artifacts. I don't know. But like free to play Arlecchino Overload feels weaker than Ayaka Freeze with the Escoffier. So well,
I mean,
free to play
again, if you play both
perfectly.
perfectly, I can see where you're coming from, right? But like, imagine, for example, let's not say that Seahorse. Let's say, for example, Kinky with Ayaka.
I think
Like,
with Escoffier it's not much of an issue,
suicide-inducing.
but I feel like with Escoffier now, it's really not that much of an issue. Escoffier, you just, I don't know. Like Escoffier fixes one of Ayaka's biggest issues of having a big downtime on damage after her burst by just Escoffier doing damage. I feel like playing Ayaka well is not hard anymore. Maybe that's a hot take, but yeah.
It's more of I guess I was trying to compare Ayaka specifically versus Arlecchino specifically rather than to compare their teams. If we're comparing their teams, then yes, I definitely see where you're coming from.
Oh, that's
The
that's
team
what I
wouldn't
meant,
struggle
but
as much.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess for me, Escoffier still hasn't like settled in. But yeah, no, you're right. I guess Ayaka does not suffer as much. So yeah, I guess I could see that. And surprisingly enough, I was gonna say that the Worm, but actually one of the more effective teams that I had against the Worm is Ayaka, because
Her
if you
burst
time
range
things
is-
correctly, you can kind of
Yeah.
hit 2 bursts within like
Yeah.
one of its like move set rotation.
Yeah. We haven't
Which
had the
is,
worm back in a very long time, to be honest.
Thank God.
Yeah, let's not have it.
Yeah,
I mean-
6.0 worm coming back surely. With like 5 million HP. Surely.
Would you guys rather fight the Worm or fight the Seahorse / Automaton?
Oh, the
Oh,
with
not
Seahorse
the
and Automaton
automaton,
for
I'm not
sure.
Funnily enough, I like both the Seahorse and the
The
Automaton.
Automaton's not that bad, in my opinion.
Okay,
Did I
here's
say
the
that
thing.
Automaton's
hate
bad?
automaton.
No, the thing with Automaton is that he always consistently allows you to like beat him in 2 pillar cycles, no matter
Yeah.
what team it is.
Yeah,
So
it's
it's like-
really.
The issue with the
That-
Automaton is, again, I feel like it's the difference between the theory crafters and the general public. Do
Well,
you know
I agree
how
with
to
that, yeah.
climb the billers
Yeah.
without using the
Yes.
biller mechanic?
If you don't know
yes-
that, it's a big difference. Yeah.
Dude,
It's easy.
It's the easiest technique in the game. I'm not even trying to hit weird.
honestly,
but
it took
the
me
issue is-
10 minutes to learn, but
The issue is, Flip, even if it's the easiest technique in the game, that doesn't mean the overwhelming majority of players can and know how to do it.
yeah, that is.
If you can
just
do
so
a
fair.
simple rotation, you can look at a pillar and jump slightly to the left to climb up it.
Yes, but that
Absolutely.
requires you
They have
first
to-
of
they
all
have
to
to
know
know
that
it.
that's possible. Second of all, it requires you to know what models allow that. And third, it requires you to know the exact spot you need to do it. Because you don't
Because
get to
you
do it
got-
from any angle.
You gotta remember, like, most people who play this game probably don't look at videos, or they probably just
Sure.
look at more casual Genshin channels, not guide maker channels, and so most probably don't see those kind of videos.
Right, like for a sec, just to give you like a visual idea, imagine if you could not. Tomorrow they just put oil on it. You're not allowed to climb.
Not the oiling up.
Even
They
okay,
just
if you
oiled the automaton, you know?
if
What
you
do you
couldn't
do
climb
when
the
you
pillar,
face
I
an
think-
oiled up automaton?
Okay, if you couldn't climb the pillar, I think Automaton is bad.
Oh,
But
it would be
even
actually
then,
horrible.
even then, there's still like characters that can jump up it. Varessa can just slam her head up, climb up it. Aoife at any Aoife can climb it, Kinich can climb it. Why did I say
You could
Aoife?
also argue Auroron can
Yeah,
climb it and you
Auroron
can give him
Auroron and
Lily,
Siddharth can jump up to
Kazuha,
it. Wolfika
Zhongli.
climbs it.
There's a lot of characters who
Kazuha.
can do it.
Yeah.
It's just that like if it were, let's say my free to play account, the only
Sean
character I
Yun
have
can
that
jump up to it.
and get up to it is either Auroron, who's not leveled, and my Loden, who I don't really use that much anymore because now he's overloaded on me, and then Escoffier with Ayaka. So
And
like,
also,
yeah,
Sheena's free.
sure.
Also, real
but
quick, is it even worth climbing that pillar with this Escoffier because of how much resistance shot she has?
Still
I
worth it.
mean,
I would
it's
say
still worth.
so.
It's a damage phase.
Yeah, no,
and
also-
Yeah, but
also with the
let's say it's
300
gonna fuck up,
damage to
it's gonna screw up your rotation, right? Would it still be worth?
It's still worth it because it loses HP directly.
Yeah, it
That's
loses
OP.
HP.
I feel like the only
And
character
that's why
might
you can
not
always kill it
be
in
as
like
worth is, like-
rotations.
Yeah, I feel like
Okay,
maybe like Nuvalet, who has like a shit ton of resistance red in his teams. Maybe he's like the only one, but
I
yeah.
think I didn't explain it correctly enough, my bad. So, with the assumption that you can't climb the pillars unless you have a character that allows you to climb it. So, like, for example, would you downgrade a Escoffier's team from, let's say, Shanhei to, like, Sitalali, for example, in order to...
Only saying that like Lolly's horrible. Lolly's still really good.
Yeah, right? So that's what I'm saying, right? Like, would
I
you
would
guys
do it,
it's
yes.
worth it at that point, or you just brute force with the Escoffier,
I would-
assuming you can't climb the pillars?
I would do it with Siddharth. Just Aika, Siddharth, Escoffier, Farina.
yeah,
Do it.
yeah.
Okay.
So
Because
someone
that's
in
how I
chat
felt
was,
about it as well.
someone in chat was saying, I think they want me to talk about this match, but they said SN was saying I think Arlecchino was working on Ayaka in terms of playstyle. So I can wait. Are they talking about Skirk or who's she? I'm confused. Wait. Okay, now I'm confused. They said talk about my recent message, but I don't know what message they were talking about. They sent
No.
a bunch of messages.
Oh. The problem is that Arlecchino has simple and effective playstyle. Like, try hitting 3 in 1 Mulan E against the PMA areas how bad the playstyle is. That's just PMA just fucking sucks.
Oh, PMA
That's
just
true.
literally it's RNG griefing your rotation. It doesn't matter what DPS you're using. Like it's RNG, man.
You know, actually, no, Chaska can just look up
Okay,
and shoot.
Okay,
PMA.
Chaska is like the exception.
No.
Chaska, I hate Chaska so fucking much. Oh man,
Yeah.
I really
Yeah.
do. Oh man.
To me, Shaska is like one of those characters that's like theoretical versus actual, right? Like he
Also
seems
just hate
good
the
on
fact that-
paper and fun, but when you actually play the unit, you realize you just bought another Bio DPS number 75, and you're never allowed to fight anything that's not single target. It's
I do still honestly like playing Chaska.
Oh,
It feels unique.
Majita said that Eston was talking about Ayaka, or talking about Mulani versus Ayaka, I guess maybe.
Maybe Mulani versus Arlecchino.
Or maybe that too. I don't know.
yeah. Some people don't like the mechanics of Natlan. I think that's okay. That's fine. Some people don't like how energetic and jumpy and wacky left and right. I know a lot of people that don't want to play Lake in each because apparently they get motion sickness from it, right? How the camera keeps like snapshotting and going left and right. And
Okay.
yeah.
No, I'm just what he knocked the little cooking mechanic
Yeah,
over.
it was
Oh, the
about the
gameplay.
quality gameplay in the background. But yeah, it's definitely also interesting to see like what direction they're gonna move on forward from here. Like, whether they're gonna continue with this like quote unquote more cartoonish, more like weird.
It's just a Natlan
Like-
thing.
I think it's an
Yeah.
outland thing.
It's just a Natlan thing.
I
Especially when
will
they
say
put graffiti on the splash, right? It's just a Natlan thing.
I will also say this. I think one of the reasons why people don't like the Nala mechanics or like the enemy mechanics in Nala as much is probably because it was a jarring jump from enemy mechanics that you can just ignore in Fontaine and Samaro to ones that you actually have to try to like work. What's the word? Actually, like
And-
follow the mechanics.
The thing is,
And
the
people
thing is,
really
even
keep
if you,
trying to
sorry.
unga bunga. I was just saying people just keep trying to unga bunga stuff rather than actually learning the mechanics.
But the thing is, even though you could ignore like the Fontaine mechanics, it's so like astronomically easier if you just use the Numa Uja stuff. Like
Yeah, I do agree with that. Yeah,
C-
the
what's her name?
Capelli, Capelli, yes.
Capellia just gets stunned for like a
Yeah.
solid like 10 seconds.
Yeah. To be fair, you have to hit it like 3 times, which takes time because of the cooldown on
twice,
the. Twice? Isn't it like 3 times?
It's twice.
That's 3 times. That was 3 times. What
For
was it?
for what the jumping boss?
Capelia.
The one that has
Capelia?
the the one that has the ice shield, right? Are you talking about the Capellius or Capelia? The ice shield one?
Yeah.
It's Capelia. Okay, yeah,
The,
Capelia.
the thing about that, I don't even know how true that is, because for me, usually I much preferred using like Zhang Link and
Yeah, but
like
the
a
thing is,
Bennett E.
Channeling only breaks the shield. She doesn't stun Capelia.
Oh yeah, it doesn't stun it, but like generally speaking, if like I had to choose between like I don't know, using let's say Lenny or not Lenny, I mean Lynette, for example, right? Or like using someone. But I do agree that like one of the things that people do forget is the cells. I think they're called like something cell. The one that like looks like I guess a blood cell, and it has different shields, like the big blue or not the big orb
Blue
enemies. You
orbs,
guys
yeah.
know the
You
one
You
I'm
can
talking
talking
about
about?
the breachers? The breacher
Yeah, the
pharmacists?
breachers,
Yeah.
I think they're called.
Oh, those
Like
guys,
So
yeah.
you like
the amount
practice.
of time I've seen actual theory crafters, actual people who play Abyss all the time on stream, walk up to a GU1 and start wailing down on it instead of doing a single normal attack with Farina that they have in the team.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
insane.
True.
Immediately breaks the shield.
And
That's
every
not good.
time like I've tried to remind them on a stream or something, they say, "Oh yeah, I just forgot." Like they know it's there, they just kind of forget about it.
You can just
So
ignore
like
it.
it makes me question why people forget about the mechanic. Could it just be because it's not like that relevant? Like the shields are easy to counter.
It's probably just the fact that you can just once again unga bunga and it dies because it doesn't have a crazy ton of HP. And then the shield, well, especially if you have geo attacks, which will just break on its own anyway. So or even like blunt attacks. So that's probably the reason why they don't think about it.
Yeah.
I've done that same thing too. Sometimes I just don't break the shield with Farina. Just unga bunga it. So yeah.
Like another thing I think I'm seeing, let me check that first.
I'm
I
not even
think
gonna
they
try
don't
ego.
gain that much resistance if they
Let
have
me
the
look.
shield up, if at any. The cells.
They,
But
they gain some, I think, right? It's a shield after all. Damn, it went mega quiet. What happened?
I don't know. I'm waiting for the others to.
Holy! Went so quiet.
If I
It's
can
three
make
times no shot.
what?
Apparently, Capelia is 3 times no shot.
That's why I swear it's 3 times. I've done it before.
Well,
It's 3 times.
I'm so positive it was 2. I remember just doing like a fucking Farina normal attack at the start, and then like when I swapped back into her.
Oh,
Maybe you did like a Nouvelette or something to do another.
You
something like that.
thinking I have Nouvelette?
You don't have Nouvelette?
No.
based.
Oh, dang! Imagine.
By the way, Escoffier melt sucks. It's
Oh
not
yeah,
good.
I mean,
Plunge
yeah,
melt
I mean,
scheme?
No, I
no,
just
just
tried regular
no.
melt. It wasn't
Well, yeah, regular
good.
amount it does suck. Yeah, it's not good.
I
Yeah, don't
thought
try.
the Jeff said that it was good.
You
I
listen to
had
the
some.
Jeff?
No,
I thought
okay,
you
I
guys
don't.
hate this dude.
I do,
Like
but
what?
I do hate his takes, but I just he praised it so much. I thought it was going to be at least something, but I didn't even hit like 500k on initial. It was like 260.
I mean, I think Saluna did a thing with Escoffier melt on both on stream and a video of it. I don't know. Yeah, I tried it. It wasn't crazy good. Something I've been meaning to try. I think if you do Sololi and Escoffier together, you can enable Jingling to melt consistently.
Oh
I
damn.
think. I haven't tried it. Don't quote me. I just saw a short from
We will all
Engineering
be
Classic.
quoting you on it.
Oh god.
I also want to play Yelan. Does anyone know what the Lali replacement is in that team?
I don't know, Zincho. I have no clue.
Probably.
I don't know. I mean, Mona, if you're really running, go down that route.
Yeah, I was thinking about Moon, but like aren't Escoffier's energy requirements in that team bad?
I mean, 160 should be fine. 160, 170 should be
160
fine.
in triple hydro if she's bio.
Yep. Oh, okay. So I looked it up. Believe it or not, Kenkel, having the shield literally does not make it take less damage in any way, shape, or form.
Oh, really? It doesn't? Oh.
Yeah, I think that's why
I
people
was
ignore
assuming
it
that it
so
did.
much. Because
I
like
always assumed that it did.
what you get out of stunning the ball is what doesn't attack you anymore.
Yeah.
Which can be very good because they can do a serious amount of damage. But like in terms of damage, according at least to Humchcat and some other resources I checked, the shields do not give it any extra resistances. It does not make it take less damage. It does not stop you from doing like elemental reactions or whatever. Like it's just I guess like a stun mechanic, just like I guess the Ojianuma for Kabylia. But I guess Kabylia it does stop damage at least, so it's even less relevant than the Kabylia one.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe that's why people ignored it for the most part.
I mean, the only times it really matters is maybe like the ones that the danger ones do way too much fucking attacks. And if you have Ben on your team, it's cookies because you get burned like crazy. So the Geo ones is kind of whatever. And they're also pretty easily broken with like blunt attack like Kazuha or Geo attack. So
yeah.
Okay, I feel like we've been streaming for a long time now. Almost 2 hours.
We definitely have.
Yep. It was a very fun episode, to be honest. There was a lot to discuss. We discussed Dahlia, the tragedy.
Did we?
I mean,
we just mentioned him in passing.
Yeah, but
you just called him bullshit and moved on.
For about as much as he's gonna be useful.
Of all the things you could have mentioned that we talked about first, Dahlia
I was going to say
wildest
Dahlia,
mention.
Skirk, Escoffier, like the most recent additions, quote unquote, because Dahlia isn't an addition. He's a F2P event weapon bot that provides a bit of attack speed.
We gave him about as much time in the episode as he's gonna see use in the game.
Basically.
So.
I heard people coping like with Dahlia Yoimiya. He doesn't even apply Hydro.
Dude, when I heard that take, I'm like, she doesn't even need attack speed.
Yeah.
Like Yoon Jun gives her like maybe like an extra N2. It's not even worth. It's not even. I kept having so many people spout that to me, and someone who really enjoys Yoimiya. It's like, dude, you gotta get Dahlia. It's like, why do I need him? He's not good. Anyway.
Attack speed equal best in slot for Ayato and Yoimiya all the time, always.
Surely.
Does Ayato have hit lag? I forgot.
Technically
Does
not.
lag?
Ayato, I don't believe he has.
He doesn't.
Yeah, okay. Yunjin has 12%. Dahlia has 25% at C6, but doesn't have a normal attack buff. Or
trust me, whatever Yunjin is gonna give you, she's gonna take back in terms of ER.
I disagree. I think her best teams are with Shilonen, and in those teams she doesn't.
I mean, yeah, if you're funneling like into her from Shilonen, it's not as bad.
I mean, I ran like a 240 ER Yunjin with Fab. I really hardly.
Wow. Yeah, listen, see, that's how much you need. But unironically though, because I have a friend who's also a Yumiya main, Yunjin needs an ungodly amount of ER if she's solo Geo.
Yunjin is so
I mean, that's what I'm saying. That's right. I ran her so 240 ER solo Geo. It was with double Fab though, Fabio and Fab Yunjin. So to be fair.
Okay, I do not tolerate Yunjin. She's a good support for Clorant, but Clorant likes Chev, and that's the main tragedy. Okay.
Tragedy.
You get what I mean.
Yunjin's strategy for Yumi is that Jello don't exist, and she legit just completely power crept her. So.
Also, I was gonna say Arlecchino, but then you just play Candace.
Yeah.
There's always someone better to play, sadly. Okay. Anyway, thank you all for coming today. We are very happy that you joined us. Maybe next episode. Raulfigas will be back. He was sleeping or something else. I don't know.
He was flipping.
Sleeping. Probably.
Not everything is about you, Flip. God damn it.
Sorry, my bad.
Okay, anyway. My Escoffier got from level 1 to level 90.
You don't have. Wait, you haven't built her at all?
No, I did.
He just got it.
I literally did it during stream.
Oh.
It's level 80 with talent, level 10-8. I think that's a pretty built Escoffier for now.
1-10-10.
Yeah.
Okay, anyway. Thank you all for watching. Bye-bye. See you in the next one.
Bye.
Bye.
Damn, that was a long